Had myself on mute. Happy Thursday, everybody. I'm back with another read-through, trying to get through the backlog of things that I promised people I would take a look at, and then got just busy and, frankly, lazy, and the holidays kicked in and all that stuff. But I wanted one of the ones, what I've been sitting on for a while to go through is the sci-fi RPG Carbine Jungle by Nor Cal Mythos. We're Twitter friends, and I was following along his Kickstarter, and I said, hey, would you mind sending me a copy to look at? And he was nice enough to send me one during their Kickstarter run, and then send me another copy once everything was finalized. And I had meant to do this a while ago, and just, like I said, life and laziness and everything else got in the way, but I wanted to definitely go through it and give it a read. I played for a long time in a completely homebrew sci-fi RPG, and I've always enjoyed sci-fi RPGs, though outside of that one homebrew game that I played in for, I don't know, 10 years plus, I think, somewhere in there. I haven't gotten actually a chance to play very many. I had Gamma World back in the day, and I rebought that, and I have that somewhere on my bookshelf. I had Star Frontiers as well, and I have found some of those rules again, but I don't remember if I really just had them and just would, you know, I mean, as in now, you buy a bunch of RPGs, you read through them, and you don't necessarily get to play them. So, you know, I really dig them, but I haven't always had a chance to play them. Like I said, I had that one stretch where I got to play that RPG. You know, I had Shadowrun, I think, first or second edition. I loved it, but didn't get to play it very much. I'm putting on my old man glasses because the type on this is small for me at this stage in my career. Tell from my beard if you're watching this, it's filling with gray. But let's take a read through and see what they got. I glanced through the rules originally when I got my hands on the rule set originally, but it's been a while since then, and I try to keep it fresh. I try to really keep it so that these read-throughs, you really get my, you know, just my reactions in the moment. Obviously, I have not played it, so this is just from reading. This is not from playing. So keep in mind, everything I'm going to say is just my reaction to what's on the page. I think oftentimes people will make judgments based on what they've read and assume that that's what the game is. So I try to be very careful. You know, this is just me reading it and seeing how things go. Obviously, not going to know more until you play it. But here we go. Blame these people. All right, so we get all the credits and the thank yous. Table of contents. There's a lot here. I have a few hours to burn, but I do have other things to do today. So we'll see how much I get through. If I don't get through all of it, it's Chinese New Year this weekend. My wife is Chinese American, and her in-laws and things are coming, and we're doing stuff with them. So if I don't get through this now, it might be a few days before I can get back to it. But let's see how far I get. Chapter 1, Welcome to the Jungle. Let's see. I might have to... Can I blow this up for me without it going crazy in the... Okay. Well, let's see. I'm just going to wait. I'm just going to wait for the stream to catch up just so I can see if I have to adjust the sizing. Because, like I said, the text is super small. And I just want to make sure that... Actually, you know, I can look at it here. Oh, all right. Let me fix that zooming in a bit. Let's see. I'm just, yes, riveting viewing as I adjust how this looks. Guys, no, I can't do that. Do that. I can do that. Oh, let's see, I can do this. All right. There we go. Fix that. Okay. Let's get to it. Welcome to the Jungle. I'm not going to read everything. I'm going to read highlights. I'm going to be skimming because there's, you know, I don't know, 270 plus pages to this. I can't read it all. The calamity changed everything. Not much is known of the history before it. The old Spine Empire had spread from its original home world to conquer tens of thousands of planets. Their civilization flourished with unprecedented power and success, yet was nearly destroyed overnight. The cause of the calamity is still unclear. Some reports claim sabotage. Others cite invading enemies through the interstellar portal network. Regardless of the cause, the effects were catastrophic. Those who could flee did so, leaving behind only those too poor or foolish to escape, and the desperate few intent on stopping it. In the end, the physical destruction was limited, with only the imperial capital planet Shemesh 3 being mostly destroyed, along with a large portion of the planet's solitary moon. The jewel of the Spine Empire was in ruins, leaving only a small sector of the planet remaining. But the true cataclysm was a galaxy-spanning wave. A null void pulse lashed out through the reaches of the galaxy, striking the fleeing Exodus ships. Outside of physical damage, which was catastrophic, the null void pulse zeroed out every energy signal, warping and annihilating most forms of information storage. Most fleeing ships either shut down in deep space or were destroyed. A few managed to crash land into habitable atmospheric systems. Worst of all, the Eye of the Universe, the central hub of the Metropolis interstellar gate system, was destroyed. The central means of travel and communication throughout the renowned galaxy was gone, leaving those who survived on their own. So there we have it. So it's a cool intro. It looks like we have a, I don't know, maybe a Federation type government system. I don't want to call it system. What would be the word for it? Nation, right? An interstellar nation collapses due to a calamity, and a lot of the things that had come with that, using sort of warp gate, looks like type devices, a lot of that is destroyed. So now you're off in essentially a post-apocalyptic situation. And here we get some background on the Metropolis Republic. Those who survived on Shemesh 3 set about rebuilding their civilization to what would become known as the Metropolis. Okay. Lots of things were lost, so tech needs to be redesigned and redeveloped. Process is slow, but here we have civilizations are starting to rise up out of the wreckage. The rise of the primals. During the calamity, as the Exodus evacuation ships were struck by the multi-void pulse, a sisterhood of old ways practitioners, capital O, capital W, and ancient magical art used their skills to save as many as they could. When the gates never reopened, the scattered survivors assumed the worst and started to build their own civilization around their greater strength. The sisterhood, now called the Red Circle, reminds me of the Bene Gesserit from Dune. Though, they have more sort of sinister overtones than these seem to. It's kind of like the Bene Gesserit / Red Cross. They work to rebuild their people in the difficult environments they arrived in. Okay? Where we stand now. All right, so this is, I guess, going to tell us what has happened since the calamity. In the centuries that followed, diplomats, settlers, and traders from the Metropolis began appearing in primal-controlled space. While many primal societies fled further away from the Metropolis, others found this trade profitable and welcome. Trade and immigration turned out to be far more effective at reuniting the two peoples than violence. 900 years after the War of Reclamation... Oh, wait a minute. Did I skip the War of Reclamation? Maybe I did. Did I, though? Okay, so at the end of the part about the Sisterhood and the Red Circle, it talks about them issues with the Metropolis. Let's see. There was a war. Okay. So they don't name... Okay, so in the paragraph on the rise of the primals, they mention a war, but they don't name it. And I guess the war is then named. Now we're going to get into some other stuff. Let's see. So the War of Reclamation ended. The Metropolis space has grown to several thousands of light years across, largely through peaceful annexation of primal territory. So they are somewhat reunited, I guess, after the war and some kind of treaty, and then they started dealing with each other in more equitable terms. There was a brutal war with the spider life Renge, Renge, I think, ended with Metropolis battered but firm, and the Renge depleted, but also a shaky alliance formed between the two for the past several decades. All right, beyond, or maybe it's Renge. Beyond Renge space, the Metropolis forces have encountered another warlike race known as the Mainu, who pose a new threat. Most of the planets who survived the Mainu and the Calamity are still separated from both the Red Circle and the Metropolis. 1,000 worlds found ways to survive, all adapting differently and now colliding with the powerful empires. Wars are fought, territory is explored, new civilizations and species are discovered. So there we have it. There's a little bit more, but I'm going to go ahead and pass through that. But I guess we're getting a sense of what the world is right now, which is, it's in a bit of a state of flux. Some of the bigger wars have ended. Other wars are obviously soon to be fought. There are some shaky alliances with some alien species. Other aliens are being discovered. We have several large empire-type nation-states, and then we have lots of independent planets that are maybe caught between them or on the outer edges of things. Oops. Let me step away for just a second because I realize my laptop is not plugged in. And if I do not plug it in, it will go, it'll go down right in the middle of this because my battery is not what it once was. All right, so give me 1 second. All right, sorry about that. Just had to get that fixed. Okay. So we have the situation at hand. All good. Now we go down to... Whoops. General welcome. Okay. Introduction. What is an RPG? All right, I'm going to skip that intro stuff. What do I need to play? What can make it better? All right. Snacks. Yes, snacks can make it better. All right, let's dig down into these basics. I'm just going to try to go through what I think is sort of new or different or what maybe would make this stand apart from your general basics. Players, game master, session, round, turn, the dice. Okay, that's all. Okay, so let's see. Let's look at the character stuff. Your character species. Place of origin, your genetic ancestry, power domain. All right, so this seems like maybe it's your class. No. So power domain is your field of study, source of strength. So I guess it really is a power. Maybe this would be akin to, say, clerics have, divine power, or druids. I know in 4th edition they made a big deal of having these different power sources. Barbarians and druids and rangers were primal. I think rangers. Anyway, you had primal, you had divine, you had arcane. So maybe that's what that refers to. Archetype, that seems to be your class, the forte you are trained in. Now you have tiers. This would be like your experience levels, a general level of strength of the character. Alpha, beta, gamma, delta, epsilon, omega. All right. Alpha being the lowest, omega being the highest. Sounds good. Let me just check in really quickly just to see something. I need to really get in gear with doing things, being a little bit more ahead of the game. All right. I think that's good. For right now, that's good. Okay, sorry about that. Windows everywhere. Okay. So we got that stuff. Okay, attributes. What attributes do they have? I'm always curious to see when these games, what their take is on the standard. So we got endurance. I can take it. Helps everyone. I like that. That's a nice thing. It seems that there's little parentheticals that will tell you how useful this skill is. I assume maybe for different types of characters. Physicality. I can lift it. Primal. So if you're a primal, you need that one. Finesse. I can dodge it. Marshals thrive here. Okay, we don't know what those are yet, and I've said this before in other videos, but I really like when you define terms before you use it, but we don't know what primals are, other than that the rise of the primals, I guess the red circle folk. But as far as, we don't know what that means for characters. Marshals, we can assume, okay, this is fighters and whatnot, that style. Resolve, I never give up. What makes a hero, okay? Does that mean it applies to everybody? I presume. Intellect, I quickly think it. So that's for if you're a tech, you want that. Awareness, I notice it. Useful for everybody. And then finally, will, your force of personality, which is great for a quantum. So I would prefer to kind of know what those are before I get here, because otherwise it's not really meaningful to me at this point, but there we have it. Okay, health, basically your hit points, morale, determination to keep fighting. So that's interesting. I usually, I don't know. I don't know if I've played any games with morale for characters. I probably haven't. I just don't remember. It's always interesting because it's one of those things that, in a sense, you take out of your player's hands. It is something that can possibly be looked at as one of those agency issues, because if you are a player and you want your character to fight to the death, or do whatever, do you want dice to, some kind of roll that the GM gives you, hey, roll against your morale, and then suddenly you have to flee, and you don't want to. So it's an interesting choice, but we'll see how they use it. It might have nothing to do with that. Let's see. Oh, hold on. Sorry, I gotta make one other adjustment that I forgot about. Oh, yay, the fun of streaming and trying to figure stuff out on the fly. So, hold on. Once again, I'll be right back. I was streaming over Wi-Fi, and I don't want to. And I was losing a lot of bandwidth that way, so I just had to run over there and plug my Wi-Fi in to make sure it was running. So again, riveting streaming, and I apologize for that, but rather I get it fixed now because the bitrate was suffering, and I was getting warnings, so had to fix it. All right, so that was morale. Advancement points. Points you get for completing sessions, missions, and quests. Okay, that you spend on backgrounds. Advancement points. Oh, I'm getting more errors. Currently, keyframes are not being set often enough. Alright, I'm not sure what that means, Google. I feel like I can fix it now. Okay. Combat attacking. Attack bonus, damage, attack option, a special combat ability from your species, power domain, or archetype that helps make your character unique. Alright, so we notice we have some kind of unique attack option. And then defending, defense, stamina, discipline, mental toughness. Okay, that's good. So we have defense, basically your armor class, stamina, resistance to toxins and exhaustion. Discipline, your mental toughness. Dare I say personal discipline? I don't know. Dare you? Damage reduction. All right, that's your armor. Plating. Okay, so what is the difference between damage reduction and plating? Plating, okay, so damage reduction says plating or shielding that lessens damage. It is the total of plating and shielding. Okay. And plating lowers damage from all attacks. Shielding lowers damage from ranged attacks. Okay. So plating will help you against everything. Shielding will not help you against melee. Damage tolerance. Extra health that absorbs damage before the damage subtracts from your own health total. Damage tolerance. Extra health. Is that okay? Skills, not combat exchanges. Skill challenge. So they got skill challenges in here. Skill checks. Skill threshold. How often you can fail a skill before quitting. That's interesting. All right, we got some acronyms to remember. I probably will not remember them, but PC, let's see, AP is advanced. Okay, I think MT is morale. That might be good to know. The other ones are their stats and the tier. All right, I think I got it. Planning a party. All right. When building your party, you can have characters from similar upbringings or different ones have all different. Okay, that's fine. Let's see. When building a party, there are certain things that can help make a party successful, such as starting with a united party or having complementing aptitudes. Certain flaws tend to hamstring parties or destroy them outright. When creating characters, keeping this in mind can allow for a party that will work together. But the most important part of a successful party is everyone enjoying their characters and the game. Everything else can work itself out. Very true. Working together. Teams work together. Whether it's sports, thieves in a movie, or thieves not in a movie, or characters in a party. People will find others with complementary skills to work with where they can become more successful. Different archetypes have different strengths, and parties with a variety of these aptitudes can be more successful. All right, so here we got the aptitudes. Providing suppression. Certain archetypes specialize in protecting their allies. The Aegis, Operator, Trooper, and Vector are all excellent at this. The Berserker and Luminary also have. Berserker and Luminary has. He or she has. They have. All right, that's a typo. The Berserker and Luminary also have some protective abilities. Having one or more of these classes can help to keep some of the more fragile party members alive. Okay, so some archetypes can provide suppression. Again, I feel like it would be nice to get a little maybe summary of what those classes, those archetypes are before they start name dropping them in these things, but sure. So some aptitudes can provide suppression, some aptitudes can heal, some aptitudes have ritual casting. Not some aptitudes. Some archetypes have the aptitude for ritual casting or of ritual casting. Some have skill focus or focus on skills to pay the bills. Damage. Sometimes these get blown up. Certain archetypes are better at that. All right, ignoring aptitudes. Building parties around aptitudes is not a rule. All right. You always wonder about this kind of guidance. It's good, right? Because, say in D&D, we talk about balanced parties a lot, but at the same time, I think it hinders people who want to play what they want to play. I've never told somebody or, a party like, oh, we have to have this or the other. You build what you want, and then you make it work. So it's not that it's bad advice. It's probably good advice. But at the same time, it kind of leads to that. Are you pushing people to have to pick up, to create that United Colors of Benetton party when the reality is maybe they all want to be berserkers, or not. So it's good guidance, but I think sometimes players take that, and GMs too, they take too much out of it, and you get people saying, I have a party and they need something. Do I need to fix this party? It's like, no, you don't need to fix the party. Let the party ride and die with what they got. United parties. Personalities in parties are even more important than aptitudes. Oh, there's another typo. When characters have strongly conflicting traits or goals, it can tear a party apart. I'll highlight these. Not trying to, just so that I can maybe send a note. What is that? I just wanted to. No, that's not what I wanted to do. Thank you, Skim. But no. Don't they just have a highlighter? What is this? Text now. Here we go. Highlight. I just want to highlight that. Thank you. And the other one was that one. When characters have strongly conflicting traits or goals, it can tear a party apart. Parties can self-destruct, games can end, dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria. Ah, nice little Ghostbusters shout out there. Ghostbusters Prime, that is the original Ghostbusters. You get the idea. There are some quick ways to help parties stay together despite their differences. United Party Seeds. They grew up together, are all related, work together, united by an important cause, personalities all mesh well, all betrayed by the same group and want revenge. They all survived a horrible event together. They may not be loyal to anyone else, but they are loyal to each other. So these are good. Again, just my own thing. If you're a new player, what is a seed? You know, I know what they mean is they're talking about your sort of backstory, in sense of seeds, but would have been nice to say, hey, this is what we're talking about when we talk about seeds. This is what we mean. Oh, okay, there we go. Sorry, I thought I goofed something. This is what seeds are of. Essentially, we're talking about creating united backstories. But they don't really mention it. They kind of just assume that we know what that is, and I don't always think that assumption is a good one. Conflicting parties. Conflicts make for great stories and can also make for great games too. Conflicts within parties can sometimes cause the best role-playing in the game. This is true. And remember, this game is about playing a role. Live out your character to its fullest. Alright. Now you have some seeds of, or backstory links for a conflicted party. They met in jail. They were hired to do a job by some entity. You all share a common enemy. Any united seed, but you just don't like each other or have conflicting agendas. Right, so you can be united, but I guess, like, what was it? Jane on Firefly, right? He was there, he worked with Mal, but they always kind of had a bones of contention between them, but they were always going to be together. Building a character. Here we go. Step-by-step character creation. All right, here are the steps. You pick your character concept. You pick your species. You pick your power domain. You get your archetype. You get your attributes. You get your skills. You get your 3 starter backgrounds, and then you equip. Easy peasy. 8 simple steps. Character creation begins with creating a concept for a character. What are the character's motivations, appearance, completed goals, family values? Is the character rich, well-educated, poor, in love, loved by all, or naive, middle class, hated, feared? Okay. These questions should be fleshed out by players. All right. Yes, they should. So, okay. I was kind of thinking your character concept might be more about what it is mechanically, but I mean, this is all good. I kind of think if you're going to go this step, maybe giving a little bit more, give some tables, throw something in there to help, but this might be just the summary, so we'll see. If you feel lost, don't worry about it. Have your character have a personality and upbringing like yours, or if you prefer, see page 9 and 68 for some ideas for character concepts. Okay, page 9, which is the next page, and then page 68 is way down the line. All right. So the next page might give us some more guidance on if we need help with character concepts. I'm always a fan of having tables and options just to maybe you need to make characters quickly. Maybe you need to essentially create some pre-gens, and and like they talk about here, the player feels lost. They just don't have a story in front of them, and frankly, that's me. Oftentimes, I don't have a great story just in the bag to pull out. I just kind of got to think one up. And if it's a new game and a new world and all that, you may not have a great idea what you want to do. Species, which we'll see more of on page 13. Species is the the genetic heritage of a player. There is a multitude of species in Carbine Jungle. Some are like humans in appearance and temperament, and others are profoundly different. Your species determine a lot of information about your character. They give you different bonuses and abilities, as well as information about your culture and personality tendencies. Your appearance, size, languages, and cultural tendencies, your abilities, skill bonuses, or backgrounds, your bonuses to attributes, species health. So it looks like some species are hardier, so they'll get an extra bonus. I guess potentially you could get a penalty as well, maybe. An attack option specific to your people. All right. If you're overwhelmed, try a human. Hey, humans, they are flexible, can adapt to most things. It's a good place to start. Humans. All right, let me just check in on the chat really quick. Okay, nothing's really happening. I'm just going to check Twitter for a secundo. Let's see. Okay, no, everything's good. Let me just write a quick note. All right. Yeah, just putting a little announcement. Probably should have done this before, but you know. Do I have a link to this chat? That would be swell. If I did. Yes, I do. Thank you, YouTube. So kind, so generous. Alright, back to the action. Alright, you could close that, YouTube. Thank you, but that's enough. No. Oh, okay. Alright, back to it. So if you're overwhelmed, try human. Great. Power source. See more of that on page 35. 4 power sources. Martial, primal, quantum, and tech. Each power source has archetypes capable of protecting others in their party, dealing large amounts of damage, or healing their teammates to keep them alive. Each power source has an attribute they usually prefer. Okay, so it seems like the 4 power sources, well, you'll have your option of what kind of character you want to play. You are not tied into playing a certain type, so there will be martial classes with healing if you want to be physical, but healing, and I don't know what primal quantum mean. Tech, I presume, is a gadget class, but I guess, or a gadget power source. So we'll see. Okay, they're about to tell us, so here we go. Martial. Disciplined frontline soldiers, well-trained and well-armed. Typically, they hit hard and from far away. All right. Most prefer the finesse attribute. They hit hard. So they're frontline, but they hit hard and from far away. Well, I guess this is sci-fi, so right? This is not, and I presume this is not a Dune-style sci-fi where even though it's a, or, you know, Flash Gordon, or using laser swords or things like that. So I guess, yes, far away would be good. Primal, tough nomads or outsiders, traditional warriors preferring up-close quarters combat, or mages who wield the forgotten magics of old. Okay, so martial, you're a soldier. You're on the front lines, but I guess in a military sort of sense, you're not trying to run up and get in close. You're trying to use, I would assume, missile weapons, guns, lasers, flechette weapons if they have it. I always liked flechette weapons. I don't really know what they, I mean, I kind of get what they are, but did I ever become a thing? Did flechette weapons, did anyone ever try to actually in our world create flechette weapons? I don't know, they seem cool. I think Shadowrun is where I first saw that, but no, it might have been GURPS. I don't know. Let's see. Okay, quantum channeling. So primal classes, primal power source prefer physicality or endurance. Quantum channeling. This is reality-altering space magic, all right, like warlocks from Destiny. Reality-altering space magic warriors that manipulate the laws of physics. Some abilities allow them range combat, but are typically close-range combatants. Okay. Most prefer the will attribute. So you're altering reality with space magic, but you want to be up close and personal to do it. That's an interesting combo. Tech. The developers of bizarre new technologies that blur the line between organic and machine. Their weapons are powerful and odd, but are typically limited to close to mid-range. Wonder why. Most prefer the intellect attribute. Okay, so there's some interesting. So you really, if you want to be far away, I guess that's a martial class, which is almost like the archer or the kind of ranger type. Then primal and the primal and the quantum channeling ones, you want to be close, and then the tech you want to be close to mid range. It's an interesting, I guess, the way they have those staggered. They don't talk about the martials having magic, but I presume there is some kind of martial magic class. Because you usually think of magic users as one as being the magic users wanting to be the furthest back. At least all the magic users I've always played with tend to want to be as far back as possible. Oh, this has got a range of 90 feet. I will step back to 89.9 feet and then launch this off. So interesting that the one of these power sources, which seems the most magic-esque, they say are typically close range. If you feel confused, it's all right. Yep. I mean, we're just starting out, so there's plenty more to read on this stuff. All right, so tech. Wait a minute. Each power source probably has an option similar to what you want to play if you don't have a favorite based off of what you have seen, but we really haven't seen anything yet, so hard to pick a favorite from that. Pick something that goes well with your species. Tech. Lo-Ans, Nagus, Renge. Gothuan, Primal, Riverlord, Jotun, Woodfey, Martial, Lowfey, Orkindi, Shallow Dweller, Quantum, Truefey, Outsider, Renge, and Human. See, the problem is that those don't mean anything to me yet. Like, I don't know. I mean, we read a little bit about Renge, right? They're, I guess, spider-like. These other ones aren't meaningful, so I can't. If I'm confused, this is not going to help me. So I guess so. Yes, those are some options, but since we haven't talked about them, I have no idea what Orkindi or Jotun or. I mean, I can guess what Wood Fae is like, but it might be very different in this world than Fae in a fantasy world, fantasy universe, fantasy game. If your preferred species is not on the list, I mean, how would I know? Then it is quite flexible and can do quite well at any archetype. Okay. I guess that's good. Please look at the archetypes below and choose one that seems interesting. All right. Now we're on to 4 archetypes. If you have an idea about which power source you chose, you can pick your archetype. Archetypes provide most of the abilities for your characters. As you advance through the game, you can take your character in any direction you want, but different archetypes are going to be better at different things. Here are some suggestions depending on what you might want. All right, I like this. This is good. The section beforehand, I just thought it got a little bit confusing with telling us, oh, if you like this, to do that, but we don't know what those other things are. So it's like I have to go forward, read about those, and then come back and check out that list. It's one of those things, again, just for me, give me all those, just give me a little sentence on each one of those just to give me some context, and then I see those and it will get my mind working. But just rattling off the names there doesn't help. But this I like because looking at this list, these are all things about what kind of player am I, and then what I should maybe pick. So here it says, depending on what you might want. All right, I want to deal a lot of damage, and then it's giving us some options. Great. I want to protect my allies. Great. Here's some options. I want to aid my teammates healing. Great. I want to be able to cast magical spells. Boom. I want to be very durable. Good. Another list. I want to be able to customize anything. Great. And then if I'm still unsure, it says, hey, try one. Pick one and just try it out. Maybe even having a table there of just randomly picking would be good, but I like that, right? Because as a player, there's usually, well, I don't want to be this, or I want to be this. I like to be a fighter type. Okay, then that, I see, I want to deal a lot of damage. Great. That tells me what I need to know. Oh, I want to be a healer type. Okay, great. Here are the things. That I really like a lot. Really helpful to cut through the, what do you call it? The analysis paralysis issue. Seeing a bunch of options, particularly when it may be the first time you're playing, you don't really know what any of them mean. That kind of cuts through a lot of that and gets you to kind of like, okay, what kind of character, how do you like to play? What kind of gameplay interests you? Pick one of those. Now we got our attributes. Once you understand what you want your character to be, now you can roll your attributes. All right, so we're rolling. 8 dice to determine. Okay, so here we're going to go. I'm just curious about the overall. So to get your attributes, you will follow 4 steps. Roll, place, adjust, and cut in half. So you roll 2d4, 3d6, and 3d8. This will give you 8 numbers. 2d4, 3d6, 3d8. I see. So the dice, yeah, right, because we're rolling 8 physical dice. Find the lowest number and throw it out, keeping the 7 best. If the scores are too low or high, re-roll them up to 3 times or use the starter rolls. Why would you throw away the ones that are too high? What would be too high? Too low, I get, but why would too high be a problem? Do we not want high rolls? I'm not sure I get that. 6. All right, so the starter roll: 6, 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then in parentheses, just like my luggage. Haha! Little Spaceballs shout out. So nice call. Place each number next to an attribute. Remember the attributes that will help your archetype the most. That should probably be your largest number, but it doesn't have to be. Make a character that you want to play. All right. Adjust. Add the species bonus to the attribute rolls. Half. Last, cut the number in half. This will be your attribute score. Your starting attribute scores will range from 0 to 5. I guess you're rounding down. They don't say it, but I presume you're rounding down. All right, so you're going to take some numbers, you're going to add some adjustments to it, and then you're going to slice them in half so you end up with a 0 to 5 number. So I guess that means that the most you could get would be 10, right? Because if you take 6, which is the... No, actually, sorry. So if you rolled an 8... You have to cut it. So I guess the biggest bonus... So I guess reading between the lines, the biggest... species bonus you could get would be 2, right? 8 plus 2, 10 divided 2, 5. It's an interesting idea. I still don't understand. It says if your scores are too low or high. Why would you ever not want the high scores? I'd like a little bit of, is there a reason? Is there some rule about your scores have to add up to a certain number? I'd kind of like to know what that means. Maybe down the line they'll have it. It's just a weird thing to tell somebody, hey, if your scores are too high, roll them. Well, no, I don't. You want high scores? All right, the 7 attributes. We've already kind of gone through those. But it's just giving us there's just a little more detail on your adding. You add your endurance to your health. You add your endurance to your stamina. Primal casters use endurance with rituals. So I'm not going to go through those. I don't think we need to... Skills, we'll get more of those later on. Skills are abilities that characters use that don't involve attacking or damaging something. Skills are broken in skill blocks that are based on the power source or an attribute. Each attribute has 3 sub-skills. For example, the physicality skill block has 3 sub-skills: manhandle, break, and rush. Each character begins the game with the skill block of their power source, and then most archetypes choose between of one. Okay. Yeah, I don't know what that means. I think that's another typo. Choose between 1 full skill block or 2 sub skills from any skill block. Right here you get a brief right now get a brief introduction of the skills, but the skills are described in detail on page 131. Okay, so there's a block of skills, and then there are sub-skills within that block. You begin with 1 skill block, wherever your power source is. So if your power source is physicality, you get the physicality skill block. And then, let's see. And then you basically most archetypes then get to choose either 1 full skill block or 2 sub-skills from any skill block. So I guess my question there would be, could you choose 2 sub-skills from different skill blocks? Or is it if I choose the 2 sub-skills option and I have to pick physicality and then I get 2 of the 3? I would say maybe 2 of different ones. Otherwise, wouldn't it just make sense just to get the full skill block? But unclear from here. Okay, so let's just rattle through some of these. We already talked about physicality, manhandle, break, rush. Mostly, I think those are pretty self-explanatory. Endurance has carrying, enduring, and tolerance. Finesse has stealth, nimbleness, and maneuver. Intellect has knowledge, calculate, and create. Awareness has notice, analyze, self-awareness. Will has convince, presence, and focus. This is one of I always have a hard time with this, just in my own writing stuff, because I always want them to all be the same, like not mixing verbs and nouns, not have, you have notice, it's an awareness, you have notice, and analyze. Those are verbs. I mean, notice could be a noun, but it's also a verb. And then you have self-awareness, which is a noun. Just one of those things I probably would have tried to pick them all one way or another, but that is just my own copywriting style interfering with my brain. All right, you resolve abilities. Okay, everyone can use the abilities granted by the resolve block. Oh, okay, sorry. So we have, this is a separate skill block that everybody has. Unlike other skills, resolve abilities, determination. Resolve abilities, determination. What? Wait, hold on a minute. Unlike other skills, resolve abilities, determination, and dedication to accomplishing a goal. I think there's something missing there. Its abilities to help. Yeah, that's sentence. All right, I'm just trying to highlight you for later. You can go about your business. Thank you. Okay, skill determination, attribute plus resolve plus tier. Oh, wait a minute. Everyone can use abilities granted. I don't think the resolve is a block. Okay, there's some issues. I think this is really talking about how to resolve abilities. It is not a separate thing called the resolve ability block. I may ask for clarification on that. I'm presuming that maybe this just needs a little bit of could use a little extra editing love. And this one I got. I don't know. He told me this was the final one, but they may have made multiple editing passes after I got this one. So I don't know if the final version will have some of these little issues in there. But things sneak through. Even books by wizards and all those stuff gets by. We just deal with it and move on, and hopefully if it's something that's really big deal, they put an errata and update the PDF somewhere. We'll go with what we got. All right, so we're going to determine the skill, attribute plus resolve plus tier. Okay. The amount of times. Oh, so wait a minute. Hold on a minute. Skill determination. Attribute plus resolve plus tier. The amount of times a character can fail a check before all subsequent skill checks automatically fail. That seems like a lot. So your attribute plus your resolve plus your tier. So first level or alpha, that would be maybe 1. Gets interesting. Morale. Your ability to maintain a high level of competency in inconvenient or difficult situations. Character morale is lowered by 1 whenever they are critically hit. An ally is rocked. Is that a technical term? Something the character would view as personally devastating occurs. Okay, grit is resolve plus tier. So are these? I'm a little bit confused by this. Is it just determination? Okay, so I think this is an actual. All right, so I'm going back again. I think this is, reading it through again, I think it is a skill block, and the skills are, they call it skill determination. I think it would be similar to call it determination. It just makes it a little bit less confusing. So your determination, your morale, and your grit. But those seem a little bit not like skills. They seem more like attributes or qualities. Like you have determination, your morale is whatnot, and grit. I mean, are you going to... I guess maybe you roll it like a skill. I know, it's an interesting way of doing it. Maybe if I were to play, it would become a lot more clear, but they don't really fit to me under skills, and just the verbiage used makes it a little bit confusing, and I think that section could use a little bit of a rewrite just to clarify things, but I think I get it now. Specialized skills, only those from the power source are granted that special skill. What does that mean? Only those from the power source are granted that special skill. Okay, that's... Alright. However, all archetypes can later choose to train in them with backgrounds. Using these specialized skills without training causes a -5 penalty to the skill roll. Skill check roll. So essentially disadvantage. Martial skill block gets awareness. Wait, awareness based? I see. It's based on your awareness. Okay. Right, that's the stat. Okay, that's the attribute. All right. Theory of war, battle awareness, combat tactics. Quantum channeling gets its will-based, and it gets academic, applied, rift channeling. Yeah, I might do something a little bit different than that, but that's okay. Old ways skill block. It's endurance-based, gets you education, ritual casting, combat magic. And the tech skill block, which is intellect-based, gets you theoretical science, technological superiority, and applied science. Here we have 3 starter backgrounds. We can get more of those down the line, but here we are right now. Backgrounds are incredibly important in Carbine Jungle. As you progress through the game, you will be able to improve abilities or add new ones by training in backgrounds. Okay. Then backgrounds can give you bonuses in combat, skills, society, or other benefits in the game. All right. Each character starts with 3 backgrounds. On page 67, there are back descriptions. Okay, so we'll get to those. If you're in a hurry, you don't have to read all the backgrounds immediately. This is a lot of information already. Yes, it is. On your archetype page, you should be able to find suggestions for starting backgrounds. Taking these 3 will give you a good start. All right. So they're saying they're here, but they're not giving us them yet. We'll have to go through the archetypes. We get some starter equipment. All right. I mean, if that's too much, we can just pick from, I guess, a list. And we go through and calculate our scores. Do some math, calculus, trigonometry. Make sure we've adjusted for the gravitativity and the polarity. We get some background bonuses. We'll throw them in. Make sure all our scores. Here we go. Score caps. Maybe this is the too high bit. As you advance through the game, your scores will increase until they reach their cap. The highest bonus a score can give. Oh, the cap is the highest bonus a score can give. Having scores above that cap can help if you suffer from penalties to your rolls. For example, if attacking a player with concealment, you receive disadvantage, a -2. The cap for attacking is a +18. If your bonus to attack is 18, you would suffer a -2 penalty and then add 16 to your roll. If your attack bonus was 20 or higher, you will still get the bonus of 18 to your roll. All right, so since there is a point if you want to overkill your attributes. Fine. Dandy. Candy is dandy, but liquor is quicker. Player advancement. Characters grow and evolve. Yes, they do. All right, so you get advancement points. That's their XP. The currency a player earns that allows their character to grow. That can be completing a session, completing a mission, completing a major story arc or campaign. So they call a session 1 to 4 hours of gameplay, a mission 2 to 4 sessions. I guess these are just guidelines for about how long they should take. And a major arc or campaign is 3 to 5 missions. So they're saying a story arc or campaign is, say, if we're talking 3 sessions average, and we're talking 4 missions average, that would be 12 sessions. That's not a bad number. Backgrounds. I'm curious to see what backgrounds are. I mean, here we're talking about them in a general sense so far, but I don't really have an idea yet what it actually means. You think a background is, oh, you grew up as a farmer, but I don't think that's what these are, because they actually evolve. Whereas background's usually something that you do in your backstory, and then you sort of build off of there, and you build your character concept around there, as far as how you're going to role play them. Oh, he's a farmer and did this or that, so maybe you use farming aphorisms, or maybe some things about tools, but you don't generally build off of that as the game goes on. Right now, you're an adventurer. You sort of left your farming life behind you. But this seems to be something that more is growing with you as your character grows. So I wonder if it's more like an occupation or a job. But we'll see. They still don't say yet what they are. Here we have tiers. So your nil tier, I guess that would be sort of if you were doing a 0 level character, 0 backgrounds trained. Alpha tier, start at 3rd training background. 3rd training background. Alpha tier characters have skill, training, and tenacity, but lack polish, experience, and the equipment of the big boys. This is an acceptable starting point for Carbine Jungle. All right, can train in alpha backgrounds. Tier bonus +1. Starts at 3rd trained background. Does that mean you get 3? Okay. Not quite sure. I think they said 3, right? Because they were talking about 3. But here they say 3rd. All right. I'll highlight that just because. Beta tier requires 8th advancement point. Beta tier characters are veterans. Okay. Gamma tier, 16th advancement point. Delta tier, 32. Epsilon tier, 48. Omega, 72. All right. Obviously, much simplified than getting individual XP points. You're just going to be getting a very few points, and those very few points translate up. So, the whole thing seems like you'll get to the top before you've even gotten 100 advancement points. But obviously, those points don't come easy. It's all just the easier math. Chapter 2, Species. Yeah, here, let's get into species. All right, a place in the world. Your character's species is going to play as big or as small a role in your character as you deem appropriate. Their entire existence could be to support the causes of their people, or they can be an outcast, forever resenting where they came from. All right, or they might not care at all. The renowned galaxy is a big place. There's room for every type of personal history imaginable. The question is, what do you want the place of your character to be? What do you want the place of your character to be? Not your character's place. What is the role of a species? A species gives you a general idea of how your character may look, behave, and feel about certain issues. While a species provides guidelines about personality, they are not hard rules, and your character is always yours to change. Every individual determines what parts of their culture they embrace and which, if any, they rebel against. There are 8 main species in Carbine Jungle, with most having subspecies that can be vastly different from each other. Alright, so there you go. Quick rundown of species. So we got human, dweller deep, dweller shallow, Elemen or Kindi, Elemen Gothwans, Elemen Jotun, Kodama River Daughters, Kodama River Lord, Konatoa Red, Konatoa Gold, Feychild High, Feychild Wood, Feychild Low, Renge Negus, Renge Outsider, and a hybrid. Ooh, parents are from 2 species. I'm curious if here the suggestion is that any species can interbreed. Most species on Earth cannot, but I think a few can. Or is it that genetic engineering is at a level where cross-species romances, they essentially put their reproductive bits into, a cocktail shaker, shake it up, and pour it into a womb, and out comes a hybrid. Maybe we'll find out. Okay, so I'm going to skip over this stuff. I want to get into the things themselves. Let's see what we got. All right, Dweller. Looks like space dwarves. A subterranean species of engineers, business people, and tinkerers. Is business people one word? Sure, why not? Dwellers are people that obsess over things. That definitely sounds like a space dwarf. Dwellers are usually 4.5 feet tall, but possess powerful bronze shoulders and hips that make them appear almost as wide as tall. Good God, they're 4 feet tall and 4 feet wide. Living cubes. Usually weigh about 165 pounds, which makes them squat but dense. Okay. Dweller society, they're notoriously thrifty. So again, we're going with essentially the space dwarf archetype. Lifespan. All right, what do they get? So okay, so let's see. They get I guess their health's pretty good. 1d8 plus 1 species health. That sounds good. I mean, I guess don't have context yet to know if that's really good compared to other species, but I'd imagine it is, because if they're space dwarves, those are usually hardy. Sight, they get normal and enhanced. Universal, which I guess is the space version of common. And let's see. Okay, so they used to face extinction. And now they're on the move. Dwellers. Oh, there's more. Okay, so we got some subspecies here. Oh, let's see their attack option really quick before we get into the subspecies. Automatic effect. What does that mean? Through your next turn, reduce the feat of all force movement effects by 10. All right, so it's kind of like you cannot be moved, but it's called automatic effect. Does that mean it happens automatically, or is that just a name? Unknown at Delta tier, but it's an attack option. Does that mean you have to hit? I guess we'll have to get into combat, because for the sense of this one, it says you have an automatic effect, which means through your next turn, reduce the feat of all forced movement effects by 10. But this is an attack option, so does this mean that I have to make an attack as a dweller? And I have to engage that attack option? Does it mean that if I make a successful attack, I automatically get this added at the end of it? I don't know. But I'm sure we'll get, depending on how far we get, hopefully we'll get through that so I can learn what that means exactly. But it's an interesting effect. It's kind of like, that I shall not be moved type effect. Through your next turn, reduce the feat of all forced movement effects by 20. That's at Delta tier. Okay. So you get sort of the baseline effect, and then at that Delta tier, that level, it bumps up the effect, so then it makes it, you can cancel out 20 force movement. 20 feet of force movement. Okay, so then we have the Deep Dweller. They're fearless of the dark. Get a little bonus. And then there's a Shallow Dweller. They're charming. Charming, charmed, I'm sure. All right, L-men. A prejudicial idiom used to describe many of the various species and interbreeding between them. Wait, a prejudicial idiom used to describe many of the various species and interbreeding between them? Okay. So I guess the term L-men is a prejudicial idiom. The L-men are 5 species: Aralen, Orkindi, Gulthuans, Jotuns, and Urich. Or Uric. Poor little out for Robert Urich. Spencer for hire. For some reason, most likely racism, all 5 species are treated as a single entity despite the obvious differences between them. The only 2 major qualities that unite the 5 species is a common language, ancestor, and prejudice, shape, and size. Oh, sorry. Forgot the period. It's the one thing with the text being small is I can miss that. A common language, ancestor, and prejudice. Okay, and then we have shape and size. As L-men are 5 different peoples, they have 5 different shapes and sizes. So I wonder here, it's interesting that the rule book shows the same prejudice, shame on you, as the peoples of the realms. Shame, shame, shame. Each one of these should have been given their own species write-up. How dare you? How dare you continue the prejudices of the L-men? I shouldn't even call them L-men. I don't know what to call them. These fine people who in the picture, I'm not sure which one that is, large guy, bulging muscles with sunglasses. He wears his sunglasses at night because he can. Okay. Aralen. Yeah, that should be indented. This is not a copywriting review, but I call them as I see them. Heavily muscled individuals. Okay, so the guy in the picture here with the big bulging muscles, maybe is an Aralen. Standing around 6 feet tall and weigh over 220 pounds. Red-hued skin tone and black hair, usually worn past shoulder length. Okay, so that's not it because the guy in the picture is bald. And skin is not particularly red-hued. Gulthuans are short, standing only 4'2" to 4'8", with their females being an average inch or 2 taller than their males, but of equal weight. They have black, green, or gray skin and gold or yellow eyes. Their hair is curly and often grows in long, curled strands, but is typically straightened artificially. Interesting. A little cultural touch there. Jotun are hairless giants. Aha, okay, so the guy in the picture is a Jotun. Hairless giants stand over 8 feet tall with white and gray skin and black eyes and large noses. They tend to weigh about 400 to 425. All right, so Jotun versus Big Show in the WWE. Go. Orkindi are muscular humanoids, structurally very similar, if slightly smaller, to the Aralen, of gray, green, or pale skin that stands about 5'8" to 5'11", weigh about 190 to 220, with males being about 20 pounds heavier with 30 to 40 pounds of extra muscle over their females. They have large pointed teeth, ew, especially on their lower jaw, and they have eye folds around their large black, gray, white, or brown eyes. All right. Uruk are ape-like creatures with forward-jutting jaws, extensive body hair, long arms, an upturned nose, and eye folds. They stand about 5'6" to 5'9" and weigh between 140 to 165. They have orange and yellow eyes and white with black spotted skin buried underneath their dark brown body hair. Okay. So we have the name I shall not say, as I do not want to continue the prejudices of the past. But here we have it is a little bit weird that they put them all under one, because they just have to then break up each thing into, multiple subspans. So under lifespan, they have to break out each one of those. They have to break out the history, or maybe the history is united. But interesting. And I guess the ape man is kind of cool. I mean, there's nothing wrong with any of them, but I'm just having a sort of monkey man. That would be the Uruk, right? They're not super tall. I don't know. How tall is a gorilla? Are they supposed to be kind of gorilla-like? They don't say whether they walk on two legs or if they do kind of knuckle walking kind of thing. But interesting. Seems like a lot of the L-men were mercenaries. Oh, I said it again. Oh, you see, even as I try, I keep continuing the prejudices of the past. I guess they were often used as mercs, used in the wars. Now they find themselves with military training and nothing to do with it. Who weeps for the not calling them their other name? All right. So I guess, let's see, their bonuses. They have bodily pride. They're naturally strong and promote a society of power. So all these are the same. They're disconcerting to other species because of their violent past and appearances. This makes it easier for them to intimidate. All right. They're powerful. And they can, quote unquote, swing some serious lead. At Delta, they can take the background Bada Bing Nanjian, regardless of their power source. All right. And they get an attack option. They can push a target 10 feet, and they may disengage 10 feet towards the target. I don't know what that means. Disengage 10 feet towards the target. Not sure what that means, but sounds cool. It's, in the sense, it's the opposite of the other attack option of the Dweller, since that was basically being able to ignore getting pushed. This is about pushing something. Now they're getting into subspecies. It is kind of weird because they aren't technically subspecies, right? They're different species. I'm not reading everything, so I don't know if they talk about the fact that these interbreed or they interbreed a lot or how that works, but I kind of wonder why not just give them their own write-ups. Let's see. Okay, so Jotuns have muscle mass. They have a height advantage. They're consistent. Galthuans are charming. They have great metabolism. They have beady eyes. I mean, literally what it's called, beady eyes. I don't know. This just sounds a little bit like something they would get called, Again, why use the language of the prejudicers? Come on, don't be a speciesist. They wouldn't call them beady eyes. They would call them, I don't know, intense eyes, thermal vision, beady eyes. Come on now. The Galthuans don't deserve that slight to their species. We have to do better, everybody. We have to do better. The Galthuans, they're worthy of respect. Orkindi are violent and warlike. Okay. They're accurate. They have great mettle. Mettle. They got moxie. Was that it? Did I skip something? I guess that's it. I thought there was more. Galthuans, Jotun, Orkindi. Yeah, where are the Uruk? Where are my Uruk? 17, 18. Okay. Never mind. We do not get the Uruk. Uruk denied. But now we get on to the Fey children, or children of the Fey. Yes, that's generally how that works. All right, let's see what they are here, because I'm getting, elf vibes. Certainly the picture here of the girl leaning against a menhir, or, some kind of Celtic-looking Stonehengian henge block, kind of looking out at the moon with braids and some kind of tiara. Definitely speaks to some kind of fairy-like creature. I can't see the ears. They're kind of dark. Yeah, I can't tell if they're... The tops of the ears are in shadow, so it's hard to tell if they're pointed or not, but they certainly seem like they could be. Okay. Fey children are a species from a parallel universe called the Omniwen, the so-called Fey, parenthetically, which was a plane of existence that had laws of nature slightly different than other realities. There, the Fey children enjoyed socio-political, technological, and military dominance, being one of, if not the longest-lived species, has forged the Fey child's mindset in ways that baffles others. Fey children are slow to anger and quick to laugh, especially at their own misfortune. They are the most influential and powerful species in the metropolis, with a greatly disproportionate number of them serving in positions of authority, such as the Senate, in the Admiralty, or as heads of corporations. Some of the greatest heroes of the metropolis, present and in the past, are or were Fey children. Okay, that's interesting. So these are not... So it seems like we have a little bit of a genre buster here, right? So we have this other parallel universe that maybe has more of a fantasy bent to it. And these Fey are from there, but they haven't said how they got here, or can people cross over to this other universe? Are there other things? Are there orcs or goblins that can also pop out of there, or other things that can cross over? Or maybe it's just up to us in our own games to decide if the Omniwen is accessible and what that means. Oh yeah, definitely an elf. This other picture, lady, kind of looking a little bit askance, but she's got that pointed ear straight out at you. Can't miss it this time. Okay, did I miss something? Let's go back one for a second. They love and beauty, or they love beauty in all forms. Okay, there are three major cultural divides: the true or high Fey, ethereal and odd. Low Fey are the ones who have predominantly forsaken their old ways. Wood Fey, they see themselves as true heirs to Fey cultures. Maybe the Wood Fey are the ones that are the most... I mean, I guess Sylvan Elves, High Elves, and Low Fey. I'm not sure what those would be, but it seemed like those are kind of the analogs there. The lifespan of the Fey children is undetermined, as there's no record of any of them dying from natural causes due to age. All right. So yeah, very much as in similar to elves. All right, so I'm going to read a little bit of the history because I am curious about the Omniwen. Originally, the Omniwen shared a space-time universal border with the old Spine Empire. This border touched several times on the Empire's home planet. In fact, the children of the Fey were founding members of the Spine Empire and the cornerstone of the Empire's initial military and technological strength. Many of the old Empire's most powerful fortresses existed both in and at the same time outside of the Omniwen. Both in and at the same time outside. Okay, so it existed in both universes, forcing invaders to launch simultaneously sieges on two different parallel dimensions to threaten the structure. That's a cool defense. Hundreds of years later, some disaster drove the children of the Fey and a few other species permanently from their home parallel dimension. This forced a mass immigration to standard spacetime. Okay. So there we have it, the Children of the Fae, and they had to flee, but it's not saying here whether the Omniwen is still, or that active, it's still touching and those borders are still there or not. So we don't know. I guess it's one of those things we could play with, right? Whatever chased them out, is that coming also? Did the last Fae to get out close the border behind them or destroy it? Could it be reopened by someone or something? We don't know, but they're interesting questions that we could build a game, a campaign, parts of a campaign around. They have immortal beauty. They're dexterous. They have benefits. Oh, they can bend or even break the laws of physics. Okay, because of their Omniwen heritage. They're flexible, and they have their traditions. Give them some extra training. And they got, so let's see, what are their attack options? When you attack, you can teleport 10 feet before or after the attack. At Delta tier, you can teleport 5 times your finesse in feet. Yeah, they call it finesse feet. Yeah, I had a little bit. Minimum 10 feet. All right, that's cool. Kind of the, Eladrin. I guess a 4th edition Eladrin had teleport. Not sure in other editions, but yeah, you get to bounce. Get the Bamf like Nightcrawler. Subspecies 1, high/true Fae. They're immortal wanderers, and they're sensitive to quantum reactions. The Wood Fae, they have, let's see, they have natural instincts. Okay. The Low Fae, they've got Faeborn distortion. Not sure what that means. The Low Fae may reroll 1 attack. Okay, recurring check or skill roll and may take either result. But they need it. Okay, so it's kind of a short. So it seems like there's some kind of short rest or long rest. They talk about requiring a break before recharging. So we can see that, they just snuck that in there, or maybe I missed it in one of the summary things. But there is some kind of short rest, long rest thingamajigam going on. Social conformity. Okay. Sounds good. Here we're on to humans. Oh, humans. And that guy looks... So there's the girl who almost could be an elf if she had the pointy ear. She's got some sort of... I don't know. Her back is exposed, but she got some kind of armor. Like I don't know, some kind of plate in there, and she's kind of given a demure look. Maybe she's some kind of magic. And then there's... Catty corner to that is someone that looks a little bit like Cloud Strife from Final Fantasy VII. It's got the giant sword, though it's long. It's much not as wide as his sword, but it's certainly long. But he looks like he's also got a big gun, kind of rifle or energy gun there, and he's got another dagger. So interesting. I mean, I guess the interesting thing here is, I don't know, the girl strikes me as could be a sci fantasy, and the guy definitely strikes me as sort of steampunk-ish. So we're getting these little glimpses of what, the game universe, what things are like, or, how they envision things. So is this more sci-fi or is it more sci-fantasy? Obviously, we've got space elves and space dwarves. So we'll see. Humans. Okay, so I'm not going to read all about humans, blah, blah, blah. We all know about humans. They don't usually mildly resent Fae children. That's fine. So they dislike Renge. But they're the most charitable. They have a fear towards spiders. Or most humans have a fear towards spiders, and the Renge's physical appearance is something out of a nightmare. Yeah, that's true. This is true. All right. I'm guessing there's not going to be anything super interesting. Okay, here's definitely looks like a magic lady. She's kind of wearing a red gown. Looks like she might be casting. Has a little bit of a crazy look there. And then there's definitely a space guy, space marine type, black armor, 2 guns, no helmet. Tisk tisk tisk. Always wear your helmet. Soldiers, wear your helmets. It may save your life one day. All right, so let's see what kind of things we get. So we get human wealth. We get pack fighting, a can-do attitude, and their attack options. Yeah, looks like it's just a little formatting thing here. Automatic. The human or an ally within 50 feet of the human gains 5 times the human's tier as damage tolerance. That's cool. When does it end? Is it just for all time? On a hit, until the end of the human's next turn, the human gains +3 to the first morale check the human must make before the end of his, her, or their next turn. Okay, you could probably just use their. That Delta tier effect on hit, the human gains +5 to any morale check. The human. Okay, yeah, that's. What happened? Oops, I went too far. Okay, so again, this is where that. It'd be helpful to know if they mean when I hit with an attack, or is it on a defensive issue? Because they call it an attack option, but those seem to say on hit. Does that mean I'm getting hit, or does that mean something is hitting me? It's a little bit unclear, but again, maybe it's just that we have to read the combat part about attack options. Okay, oh, now we're on the hybrids. That's it. All right, hybrids. Okay, so you have a lady with, looks like 2 kind of scimitar-like weapons. And she's got her hair. I don't know if that's hair or is that long cat-like ears. I don't know. Hard to tell. All right, hybrids. Not all relationships in society are of a corporate nature. Often individuals seek emotional and physical comfort from their fellow sentient creatures. Yeah, absolutely. And in times of great stress or need, non-sentient creatures perhaps. Countless hours have been spent creating and mixing genetic code to produce fertile offspring from unlikely parents. The success of each species' splices, called hybrids, initially took the metropolis and range societies by surprise. Over the millennia, this has given rise to an entire people of mixed blood heritage. While that is a very human-centric view of the origins of the hybrids, well, we are humans reading this after all. Whoops. Ugh. It is the leading narrative regarding... Hold on. While this is a very human-centric view of the origins of the hybrids, it is the leading narrative regarding the origins of the hybrids in the metropolis. Occasionally, a hybrid does not breed with either of its parents' species, only with another individual of equally dissimilar parentage. This means there are 2 ways to create a hybrid. Hybris? I'm guessing they meant hybrid. Direct hybrid breeding, 1 male and 1 female, often with heavy genetic modifications during pregnancy and pre-pregnancy, or with 2 hybrids with similar hereditary origins. This means hybrids are a genetically diverse people, but they still have their own distinct subculture. Specifically, hybrids are known for their patience and honesty. Whether this notoriety is justified is a matter of great debate in dweller society. I agree. All right, hybrids do not have a true culture as they exist in between the 2 societies of their parents and are usually rejected, if politely or accidentally, by both. But what about the hybrids that are born of other hybrids? I would have thought that the hybrids, all those ones have been rejected, might have created their own society, but maybe there hasn't been enough time. All right, lifespan is varied. History has forgotten the first hybrid. Okay, let's see their bonuses. Hybrid flexibility. A half man is a product of multiple origins. Why are they calling it a half man? How rude. 1 additional sub-skill training of your choice. Gain +2 to any 2 sub-skills you are trained in. All right, that's pretty good. So hybrid flexibility. Diverse inheritance. Each part of your genealogy gives you certain strengths. Gain 2 of the following depending on what species you are descended from. All right, so you're going to pick your species and you get some things. And then you can pick attack options from the player's power source. I think they mean parents. All right, so you basically get to pick options from your genetic heritages. Ooh, Kodama. So this is looks like a gold lady with her hair merging, maybe her whole body merging with a tree. And there's a squirrel. And there's some butterflies. Kodamas, or guardians, as they are known to the creators of the Fae. Well, wait a minute. Oh, sorry, to the creatures of the Fae. I was about to ask who the creators of the Fae were. Are a very different species than others in the metropolis. For one thing, they are floral or floral-like in origin. For another, the biological and cultural divide between the sexes is extreme, to say the least. Males, called river lords, are taciturn among other species and slow to any sort of emotional outburst. Amongst themselves, river lords are fond of verbal duels and exchanging what could be called long-winded and overly complicated insults to each other or of common problems. While they are sluggish to otherwise complain or decide, they are quick to action once provoked. Sounds a little bit like the treants. River lords usually exist as semi-solitary creatures, often in small groups of males that double as a war or drinking party. Female kodamas, called river daughters or river ladies, are creatures bound to nature, hedonistic, are naturally observant, are very talkative, and are lovers of gossip. They stay in large, closely knit, and very loud groups. Unkind observers have pointed out that river daughters only enjoy two things: complaining about some suffering their river lords are overcoming, and breaking up other species' marriages, regardless of gender. This viewpoint is more untrue than true, but it does have an ingot of accuracy to it, as Kodama's views on possession and marriages more closely resemble that of community property. Okay. River lords, river ladies. Okay, well, the males are big. Over 10 feet. 800 pounds. Great strength. Let's see, did they say river ladies? No, they are short, voluptuous, looking like fae children. Exaggerated female characteristics. Large busts, puffy lips, round hips. See why that might cause some problems in certain circles. What are Neverborn? Hold on a minute. Let's see. Neverborn. Oh, the third. Okay, so let me just read this back. The third small subspecies of Kodama. The third smallest subsection of Kodama is the Neverborn. Neverborn are bred warriors, both male and female, designed to regain the numbers that once allowed Kodamas to single-handedly shield the galaxy from danger. Okay, so there's the third one. So you got the lords, the ladies of the river, and then the Neverborn. Neverborn are basically in size between the two. They more resemble their gender, with females looking more like river daughters. However, both genders of Neverborn stand over 6 feet tall. Some males, standing close to 8 feet, have hard, earth-toned skin of their fathers and the shifting hair of their mothers. All right. Kodamas, like children of the Fae, live well into their 5th millennium and suffer very few natural diseases. However, like life on the frontier has recently began taking its toll on the average lifespans of a Kodama, as a disease of unknown origin has struck down even hardy Kodamas. All right. There's a little quest hook for you, a little plot hook. All right, let's take a look at their things here. They've got robustness. They're robust. They're resilient. Their attack option: you may roll to try to end a recurring effect that is harming you. And at Delta tier, you gain a bonus equal to your endurance for this check. All right, so if you got a status effect, it looks like you get an extra, I assume, an extra roll to kill it. River Daughters. They're natural and magic. They have great senses, river senses, good senses, and they're one with nature. Whoa, look at that. The River Lord looks angry. He's got 4 arms and kind of a crown, sort of a little branchy crown and bark-like skin. They look tough. Gotta get angry. Gotta get mean. They have hardened skin, a forest frame, skin of bark and steel, and the frame of a lord. It looks that way. Wait a minute. What about the... Alright, so nothing on the Neverborn. Again, I don't know if it's just this copy or whatnot, but we don't get the Neverborn. That's fine. I didn't need him anyway. Don't want him. Don't need him. On to the Loans. Parenthetically, the Kanaloa. A semi-aquatic species, originally from an ice moon orbiting a super gas giant, Loans are an extremely intelligent species of cephalopod. Well, it's often been said that the octopi are basically like aliens that have been dropped onto Earth, so this totally makes sense. Being cephalopods of a chameleon-like nature, Loans can change their skin's color and texture to match their backgrounds to nearly disappear. Loans have two distinct life cycles. The younger Loans exist in what is called the hunger stage, which is characterized by a near maniac desire for competition, gaming, particularly against Fey children, debating, and winning. Loans in the hunger stage join groups called fraternities of similarly minded Loans. In these fraternities, they jointly pursue their common goals, whatever those might be. Deep into their 200s, Loans begin to calm down and enter the sage stage. There they become wise counselors and leaders of fraternities. Why do they call them fraternities? Are they only male? Where once Loans were fiercely argumentative and competitive, they become patient and conciliatory. Oftentimes, early in the sage cycle, Loans leave their fraternities to find a new one or join another. Isn't that the same? Find a new one or join another? This, maybe they meant found? Because, yeah, finding a new one and joining another one would seem to be the same thing. This personality change is not an overnight process, usually requiring about 2 to 3 years to complete. But when the process is finished, it is almost like a new Kanaloa is born. Okay. Shape and size. They're 7 feet from the bottom of their 8 limbs to the tip of their hood. However, they are very light and only stand about 3.5 to 4 feet in height, with most of the extra mass folded into itself or down the Loans' back. Loans come in a rainbow of colors. The most common are red, yellow, and gold. They have piercing rectangular black and shades of various gray colored eyes, the exact space of which is determined by a Loans subspecies. All right, and they live about 350 years. So that's good. All right, the history. Okay, I'm not going to go through the history. Let's see. So it's one of those things. They kind of interchange Kanaloa and Loans. I'd like to know what that means. They haven't talked about whether there's females. Does it say anything here in their society? Fraternities, that's it. Let's see. Lifespan history, recent history. No, nothing about females. Okay. That's a cool picture of the Loans standing alert. Its head definitely has a chthonic look to it. I like it. They got a Kanaloa mind. They have a cephalopod birthright. They are many-limbed. They're semi-aquatic. They have a muscle skeleton, and they're strong. And here's their attack option. Let's see. CQC on hit. The target is grappled. I don't know what CQC. I know CQC stands for close quarters combat. I just don't know what it means here. But all right. Target is grappled. At Delta tier, you gain a +2 bonus to defense against response attacks. Maybe that's some kind of counter attack or opportunity attack. I don't know. Or actions through your next turn. Okay. Seems cool. Got a subspecies, the red-tipped Loan. They have let's see, they are versatile, and they have a little bit of a bonus to their awareness. Then there's the gold Loan. They're a little bit finesse. Got a bonus to finesse, a bonus to intellect. They have a golden grip. That's it for them. Nothing about females. I don't know if that's supposed to mean something. I mean, I obviously can fill that in myself, but it's interesting that they don't mention that at all. Almost all the other species, I think, they at least mention it, but maybe I just skimmed over it and missed it because I'm not reading every single thing. But it seems like the females don't get love. They got to join a fraternity. There's no sororities. Shameful. Shameful, Loan. Do better. All right, the Renge. Ooh, giant space spiders. Here we go. The Renge are an ancient, genetically engineered species of semi-arthropods with an unknown origin into the galaxy. An unknown origin into the galaxy. Yeah, not sure what that into the galaxy means, but okay. Their military strength is nearly a match for the metropolis itself, but they lack the metropolis. I think they're supposed to be an appendage. They lack the metropolis's unknown source of near infinite wealth. The source of this wealth is a subject of never-ending investigation by the Renge's ruling, governing body, the hegemony. The Renge have long learned to master biomechanical technology. I like that. In fact, their entire civilization is built upon binding bodies to organic machines and engineering members of their own species into a non-sentient servitude class. Renge are forward-thinking, often viewing the other species as short-sighted or not focused on the big picture. Renge get along very well with the intelligent Loans, but they are wary of the enigmatic Fey children. Additionally, each of the 9 Renge clans have a Carbyne history keeper that chronicles important events for the clan. Okay. Renge are 3 feet tall, but have a wingspan of over 6 feet, have 10 limbs, and weigh about 100 pounds. The front 4 legs are actually arms that have increased flexibility and coordination, and they end in 4 highly nimble, finger-like talons. As such, Renge resemble intelligent, delicate spiders. Renge drones, on the other hand, come in all shapes and sizes, with the clear majority being smaller, mute versions of Nagus Renge. But we don't know what a Nagus Renge is, but we will. I'm sure we will find out. But with the possibility of being deliberately engineered to grow hundreds of feet tall, cool, and weigh several hundred tons. All right, they're social creatures. So they got the drones. They've got, all right. I'll pass over the history. Okay, let's see. They've got Renge observation. They are good at scrutinizing. They've got a danger sense, and they got a couple of little perks for being manipulated genetically. Limits of the Renge. They get some extra health. Oh, they can only wear. I see. Okay. Okay. So some of the things, it's just if you're buying armor, things like that, they cost a bit more because they have to be specially engineered to fit your body, but you do get some extra health. And then you have some Renge superiority. You've got some knowledge. Here we go. The attack option. You can attempt to perform a skill check with a -3 penalty. You are not considered helpless during this action. At Delta, the penalty to the check is removed. Okay, don't know what that means, but I'm assuming that maybe it's something if you're in combat and you're trying to perform a skill check, you're usually considered helpless. I'm assuming helpless is some kind of condition, but for the Renge, they can take a penalty and not be helpless. Sounds like a useful ability. All right, so we got the subspecies, the Nagus Renge. They are sensitive. They've got they're quick to react. They have great, incredible reaction speeds. If you're hearing that banging, that is the workmen outside my door. I apologize. The joys of living in an apartment. Then we have the Outsiders, subconscious channeler. Unconscious channeling and weight distribution allow for the outsider to perform some far-fetched feats of feet. Far-fetched feats of feet. I like the alliteration. If you begin and end your turn on a normal, mostly flat surface, you may walk across water or a similar liquid or up or down a wall. That's very cool. I can dig it. Was that it? That's it. All right. I guess that's all the races for now. And like I said, I don't know if I have the complete list or if there's some that I'm missing with this copy. But there we go. All right, I'm just going to skim over languages. We have Universal, which is Common, Fey, Dweller, Elish. Oh, I can't say them. I will not say the species, formerly the multiple species that have been poorly lumped together, formerly known as the Elmen, speak Elish. Kanaloan, Rengians. Restricted languages. Ooh. These are tongues. So restricted languages. These are tongues that may only be selected at character creation following some sort of personal history or background. Interesting. Angrali. Renge military officials have identified the main language of the puzzling Mainu fleet as being called Angrali. As the leader of Mainu is Angral Mainu, there has been much debate over the name of the language and its obvious connection to the Mainu's supreme leader. Okay, so that Dragon, sounding more like growls and barks of an animal than the real complex language it is. Dragon, nonetheless, is the language of an ancient species of creatures that can be best described as small rat lizards. Cool. There's the language of mathematics, also known as the only true universal language. Metrononian, and then unknown tongues. My tongue, it is unknown. Archetypes by power source. All right, let's dig into these archetypes. Marshall. Hello, Marshall. Military domain archetypes. Okay, I want to get into what do they call? What are they? All right, CP, combat physician. I like it. Great picture of a guy with a full suit of armor, wearing his helmet. Good job. Looks like some kind of heavy machine gun. Doesn't strike me as a combat physician, but maybe the picture's not of a physician, just of an overall military man. They got accurate healing. They can protect and repair. They get a healer's boost. They got some suggested starter backgrounds here. Excellent. Suggested routes for advancement. I also dig that. And they have a list of attack options. Yeah, I really need to read more of these attack options. And I just think just as a layout thing, and again, it could just be my copy. But man, stuff is really tight in here. Would love to see things just given a little bit more breathing room. Just give me a little more space in there. Stuff I just feel like is just squeezed so close together. I mean, I know you're trying to get as much in there to get the page count where it needs to be, but man, it's tight as a tiger. Okay, suggested routes, emergency military medical technician, an M-Tech, frontline healer, second echelon. All sound cool. The specialist. Features sucker punch, unconventional warfare. Light armor specialist. Suggested starter backgrounds. Good. Suggested routes for advancement. We got assassin, infiltrator, joiner. Joiner. There's not a better word than joiner. Okay. Let's see what else we have here. Okay, so we got a bunch of attack options. I'm not going to read through them all, but they sound cool. Some starter backgrounds. You can get 2-weapon fighting. You can focus. Splatterproof. +1 infantry plating. Okay, cool. I like it. The Trooper. This guy looks cool. I feel like I've seen something like that in a video game. Kind of. Well, the other guy looked more Destiny-like with the faceplate of his helmet. This guy, it's a cool look. In the rain, looking cool. Got a big gun. Future armor. Nice. Trooper. Well-armored and armored frontline warfighter. Yeah, now we're talking. Features engagement lock. Use your HUD. Track targets with incredible skill. Inspiring confidence. Second wind. You can get starter backgrounds, just suggestions, toughness, weapon focus, or alertness. All right. Routes for advancement that they suggest. Bad to the bone. You are a powerhouse. Martial shield. You are the bulwark to your allies with great hindrance to your enemies. And the great hindrance to your enemies. I like it. And weps. Weps. What is a weps? You may not be the biggest, you may not be the baddest, but you carry a big guns and hit multiple targets. I'm sure that's what weapon expert PS. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm sure I've heard that before. I just can't place it, but still cool. And a bunch of attack options that are great. Here we get into primal archetypes. Okay, we got their character creation features and the advancements. Let's get into the meat of it. Oh, God. Space Barbarian. Loincloth. Armored, or not armored, naked man with a loincloth and some fur bracelets with a sword that's got an energy surging around it. Thundar, it literally looks like if he had blonde instead of dark hair, it could totally be Thundar the Barbarian. All right, what are the archetype features? Goat suppression effect. Trigger, the goat is attacked. What is the goat? Okay, I gotta read about this. All right, one of the archetype features is called goat herding. Goat, GOAT. Let's read this one because it seems like it's important for understanding their abilities. Using an innate battle prowess and speed harnessed from the old ways. Is that like the old code from, what was that movie? Oh gosh, that dragon movie with Sean Connery. Everything was about the old code. The old code! You gotta follow the old code! Well, here we got the old ways. Berserkers, adept at surviving damage, protect an ally of their choice from their mutual enemies. This chosen ally, called the GOAT, for contradictory reasons never fully explained to outsiders, becomes the focal point of the Berserker's existence for the fight. That's cool. Often there is nothing save chance or a whim that selects a GOAT, but other times the GOAT is a treasured friend or a member of the circle. Regardless, a Berserker will often display Vactor-like dedication, but I have no idea. Vactor-like, but don't know what that means, but sure. Vactor-like dedication into. I think they just mean whatever. Vactor-like dedication to the protection of the GOAT. All right. GOAT suppression effect. This one says, okay, what does that mean? The Berserker disengages into a space within range in between or adjacent to the GOAT and the attacker. That could probably be written a little bit, just to make that a little bit clearer. The attack is treated as if it was made against the Berserker with the disadvantage to hit. I don't think that I mean, I know at one point they said -5, and I mentioned, oh, that's like disadvantage. But here they're using the term disadvantage. I don't think they've told us that yet, but maybe they will later. Maybe that other one is actually a typo where they would have put disadvantage, and it was something that was still at -5 because that is disadvantage if we're using D20s, which I think we are. I assume we are. Maybe that's a bad assumption on my part. Okay, let's see. As if the attack were made against the Berserker with disadvantage to hit instead of the GOAT. If there is not a space the Berserker can disengage into, then the primal suppression effect fails. All right, so that's cool. You can interpose yourself between the GOAT and I wonder why they call it GOAT. And then they call it G.A.O.A.T, but then I kind of feel like if you're going to do that, then I ought to know what those stand for. I always think of greatest of all time because on, reading about sports and stuff on Reddit, they use GOAT. Who's the GOAT? Who's the GOAT quarterback? Who's the GOAT NBA player? That sort of thing. So if they're not going to tell us what it means, and I don't know why making it a acronym matters. Anywho, fearless. Completing a job is great, but the Berserkers are nearly magically compelled to protect their GOAT. All right, so more about the GOAT. If the GOAT is not hit that round, the Berserker gains +3 to all morale checks or 1 threshold to their morale. Don't know what that means yet, but I'm sure it's good. Berserker's Wrath. Triggered, the Berserker enters combat. Ooh, that's a good one. Berserkers gain their endurance to all damage done until the end of the conflict. Wow. So that's just kind of just go into combat. You just get extra damage capability. Berserkers can make a charge attack as a support action. Don't know what that is yet, but that sounds good. After they drop a creature, if there is room... Oh, another typo. Room for such a movement. If there is not room for a charge attack, then they can make a basic attack on an adjacent enemy. However, after making the charge attack, they require a break before doing so again. So, another one of these looks like it's a short rest kind of ability. So it seems like they have some kind of short rest recharge. They haven't actually technically told us about these things, breaks, whatnot, but that seems to be the gist of it, right? I assume a break sounds like a short rest. Excuse me, I got something on my nose. So we got that. Armor and shields interfere with this ability, hence naked or nearly naked barbarian man. Space barbarian. We got some suggested starter backgrounds. Greater goat herding, toughness. I'm a lone wolf. That sounds dangerous to give to somebody. And we got some suggested routes for advancement. Durable defender. Huntmaster. I like the sound of that. Noble savage. That's another one that seems like it's not written from the point of view of the character. The character would not call themselves a noble savage. Other people would call the character noble savage. So that name is, again, showing some kind of societal or cultural bias. We got to remove. We're in a galaxy-wide world here. We got to get beyond these sort of prejudices. We're all the savage here. We got some attack options. Now we get to the Vactor. Now we will learn what it means to have Vactor-like determination. So he, again, sword. Ooh, his looks like a magic sword. Kind of looks like a little bit of a Boba Fett thing going on. He's got the cape, got the jetpack, got a visor with a sort of glowing little lines that could be kind of a mix between Boba Fett and sort of like a heavy knight, a plate helmet. Got a magic sword going on there. Cousins of the Berserkers, Vactors are the primal protectors of the renown. They put the dash in there. Renown Galaxy. They are defenders of the Circle and non-Circle citizens alike, using a mixture of special cocktails of questionable legality, like the juice of Safu. That's from Dune. And let's see. Sorry, I got totally sidetracked on my mind. What is it? Where's the little Thufir Hawat? Not Thufir Hawat, the other guy. Oh, forget about it. I can't remember my Dune little rhyme he says as he's drinking the juice of Safu. Anyway, whether the Vactor admits it or not, a touch of the old ways. Vactors put themselves in harm's way to shield the squishier members of the community. Okay. Being a creature of the old ways, power, but also of martial training, Vactors engage in combat with unorthodox, even for primal archetypes, tactics. Fear is a weapon that Vactors wield, and few other wield it more effectively. Okay, let's get into it here. Primal Fear, right? So this is one of their features. It's a support action. Attack all enemies within 30 feet on a hit through your next turn. Targets take a -1. Okay, so it's kind of like you're giving them a little bit of putting the fear in them. An ever-vacting eye. What would Vactor? We got Vacting. Okay. Let's see. All right, so the enemy moves away from you. You hit it. You get to try to slow it down. Primeval Defiance. Get some extra tolerance. The Protective Vactor. Otherwise known as the X Factor. Okay, let's see. Response action. Vactors gain damage tolerance. All right. Let's see. We got some suggested starter backgrounds. Primal Toughness, Greater Primal, Protective Vactor upgrade. We got some suggested routes for advancement. Primal Defender, the Primal Juggernaut. I like the sound of that. Martial Madness. Yeah. Oh, yeah, we got the Martial Madness coming at ya. Listen up, Mean Gene. Sorry, couldn't help myself. I know that was a terrible Macho Man impression. Hey, pour a little out for the Macho Man. Rest in peace. Randy Savage, one of the greats. Would he be a Vactor? Somebody, if you've got this game, please make me a Macho Man Randy Savage Carbine Jungle character. Whichever one you feel, whatever class, archetype you feel appropriate. But bonus points if it's a vector. All right, we got some attack options. Circle Mage Domain Archetype List. A political and social body of the greater primal society. Members of the Circle are keepers of knowledge long forgotten by the rest of the renowned galaxy. So here's they gotta keep to one thing. If you're gonna put the dash between renown, and noun, then do it, or known, do it all the time. It's kind of mix and match in here. Sorry again, it's just my copy editor brain kicking in. Can't do nothing with it. Just gotta get it, spit it out, and then move on. Okay, what do we got here? So they have its advancement. Okay, Circle Mage Free Cast. Obelisk of Energy. Create a 5-foot radius energy wall. That's cool. Through your next turn, any target inside of the area takes 1d10 energy damage. Also, any enemy that moves into or out of the burst takes 1d10 energy damage. All right. So it's they call it an energy 5-foot radius energy wall. I don't know. That seems weird. I think of a wall as just a straight line, right? 5-foot thick wall. I think of something else as being anyway. So it seems like you can encircle it. Ah, yes. And if you can hear my phone in the background, I'm getting sales called, or most likely Autobot or whatever. Bot calling. But it's too far away for me to mute, so I just gotta play it out. Okay. Here we get the Mystic. Mystics in the party. All right, so let's read what a Mystic is. You are often called a Mystic. Well, that's the name of the archetype. So yes, why wouldn't you be called a Mystic? But sometimes a spell slinger, witch, wizard, druid, or warlock, and even sorcerer. Yes. But what you truly are is a keeper of knowledge from the pre-fall galaxy. You and your fellow mystics are all who remember the secret powers that were once the linchpin of the old empire. You are masters of the old ways of magic and spells. And you have ancient enemies called the Space Skeksis. That's from Dark Crystal. Ignore it. Mystics in the party. Let's see. Here we go. Features. Power Foci. Foci? You may use your weapons enhancement bonus to ritual skill checks. 2 ritual skill checks? 4 ritual skill checks? Life Force Recharge. During a break, you may recharge 1 ritual slot per every tier you advance as a mystic. Okay? You must take a complete rest before using this ability again. All right, so a complete rest, I'm guessing, is a long rest, and a break is a short rest. Mystic Old Ways Ritual Casting. All right, this is a ritual of the old ways. At creation, okay, I guess when you create your character, you gain the ritual casting feature. Unlike others with this feature, you may select 3 rituals from the prime ritual list that you have learned, and you may cast rituals 3 times per day. Every tier you gain as a mystic, you gain a selection of your choice of 1 more ritual that you now know. You gain a selection of your choice. Oh boy, that's kind of a tough sentence. That's a bit of a mouthful. And you gain the ability to cast 2 more per day. Backgrounds can increase the number of spells you know and how many you can cast per day. Mystics can train in beta tier old ways ritual casting backgrounds as alpha tier. So since it's going, alpha, beta, blah blah blah, it looks like they get a bump up. So if you normally could just do the ones at alpha tier, assuming you're starting at alpha tier, then this one you get to go and reach for some beta tier casting instead. Additionally, each round in combat, you gain an extra support action that can only be used to charge rituals. Okay, that's cool. Cool. Free casts. Because of the many different roots and traditions that came together to form the Mystic archetype, they have a variety of different powers at their disposal. As such, they have nearly unmatched versatility. We get some suggested starter backgrounds. Old Ways Ritual Casting, that makes sense. Free Wielder. Master of the Old Ways. And here are some suggested routes for advancement. Pure Caster. Red Circle Mage. Master of the Mind. It's a terrible thing to waste. And then we get some attack options, which they're calling free casts. Yeah, that one. Okay, so that makes more sense, but I think they should have kind of said that out and said, "Hey, your attack options." Whoops, I'm trying to pour myself some more tea here. I'm banging into my mics. Oh, stop. And here's a riveting streaming of me pouring tea, mostly off camera, I presume. There we go, and I'm almost out. Not good. Not good, gentlemen. Gentle people. All right. So yeah, I don't know why we use free casts and then they call it attack options here, but then on the other page they don't. They just call it free casts. Probably would be helpful just to use the same name across the board. But at least now we know. Quantum channelers. The universe created all things, but it is not a tyrannical power. Every generation, mindless of species, children are born along certain bloodlines with the ability to innately read and alter the law of reality by their will alone. By their will alone, I set my mind in motion. There's the juice of Sefu. Yes. By will alone, I set my mind in motion. By the juice of Sefu. My lips, what was it? My lips was, no. Oh, I lost it. I almost had it. Quantum channelers wield the very cosmos itself. Quantum archetypes are individuals that personally possess an affinity for manipulating reality at the subatomic level. Atomics! Strong enough to affect their surroundings, including other people and even space-time itself. I'm getting a lot of Dune vibe. Not necessarily from what's actually here, but just the words. And by Dune, I mean David Lynch's Dune movie, which is not really all that Dune-like, but I love that movie, despite its flaws. Just watch it as sort of a tone poem. It's great. I mean, it's not great, but it's great. All right. Here we go. Let's check out what they got going on. Something for nothing. An attack aimed at your defense misses. Make an attack against the attacking creature. If missed multiple times in a round, you may use this ability until you either miss or run out of support actions. Okay. How many support actions do you get by default? Well, one other archetype got an extra, but I don't know how many you have. This seems to suggest, at least at some level, you get more than one. Quantum recharge. Yeah, it must, because here it says this one costs 2 support actions. Lose 10% total health to reuse a feature or power that normally recharges on a complete rest. Okay, that's powerful. Just as a, what do you call it? This is a bookkeeping thing. I don't like using the percents because you end up with funky numbers. You could potentially end up with decimals. I'm not sure how to do it. Obviously, they want it to kind of scale a bit, right? Because at first level, you might only have 10, so that'll be 1. But if you have 100, then it's 10. I don't know, but it just ends up with messier numbers. But that's just just my opinion, man. That's just like your opinion, man. All right, we got attack options. Reality shift. You can teleport, and then you get battle algorithms. I'm guessing these are your attack options. Again, I'm just not a fan of giving things multiple different names. Just everyone's got attack options called attack options. If I'm playing the game and I'm playing a quantum channeler, and so it says, "Oh, do you have any attack options?" I'm gonna look at them like, "What? Oh, you mean battle algorithms? Oh yeah, I got those." Like, just give it the same, or put battle algorithms in parentheses, or put in the write up. But just keep all the main lingo on the same level for everybody, because it just gets confusing. I know it's colorful and it becomes thematic, calling it battle algorithms, but in the end, I think for this part, I'd rather just the mechanics be absolutely clear and that fluff can come out in a different way. How am I doing on time? I'm doing okay. Aegis. Early on in their training, channelers with an affinity for the martial arts are moved into specialized and highly controlled Aegis schooling. Not to be confused with ageist. They're okay with old people. They're not ageist. They're just aegis, like a shield, right? These classes emphasize protection of others and defense of oneself. Aegises are the sect's frontline, first in and last out, like the Marines, crushing their enemies, driving their women before them, hearing the lamentation of their women. Well, wait, crushing enemies, driving them. I don't know. Whatever. You know the quote from Conan. Don't make me try to figure it out. A quantum Aegis' place in combat is in between danger and the vulnerable. Aegis will often charge into heavily armored foes with little regard to their own health. Or rather, it appears they have little regard. However, many a foe has been laid waste for underestimating these benign-looking channelers. And the picture is kind of looks a bit like Phoenix from X-Men, right? Sort of a cape, female type, sort of in shadow, but shooting out flames or something similar, looks like from either side. Hair looks like it's reddish and it's kind of out there. Eyes seem to have a glow from the shadowed face. I would say it's definitely a phoenix. I mean, if I was going to look at what picture might have been a good reference for that, I would definitely say classic Jean Grey Phoenix character. Cool. I'm down. I'm down with the Phoenix Force. Aegis versatility. Oh, so whoops, I missed. Sorry. First, mark of Aegis. Create the mark. It's an aura. Always centered on the Aegis. Any attacks made by an enemy from inside or through the aura that does not attack the Aegis must beat the Aegis' defense to hit regard. Okay, so they can they have this aura around them, and if you're trying to shoot somebody behind the Aegis, you have to beat the Aegis' defense. So it's kind of like again, this concept of shielding the vulnerable. You have this aura that basically is like a shield, and they can put themselves in front, and if you try to fire through it, you got to deal with them. Aegis versatility. At each tier, gain the corresponding 2-weapon fighting style background. Okay. I don't know about tiers and backgrounds yet, so I'm sure we'll get there later. Quantum Sect battle algorithms. Okay, this again is the attack options, but again, they're calling them battle algorithms. Aegis balanced matrix. Aegis combat matrix. Has to do with using that mark. Aegis defensive matrix. So basically, you can kind of up. Let's see. Yeah, it's either increasing damage, increasing defenses, increasing both. Cool. Get some suggested starter backgrounds: toughness, weapon focus, amplified mark of the Aegis. And here are some suggested advancement: Titan Breaker. I like that name. Spiked shield, Mr. Mrs. Popularity. And then we have our attack options. Choosing one. Man, again, the layout's just super tight. Give me some space. The Luminary. Looks like the bald lady from Star Trek, except she's wearing sort of a space dress. I don't really know what a space dress is. It's really more of a fantasy sorcerer's dress, I guess. It's not really a space dress. Space dress. What am I thinking? That's crazy. All right, luminaries are the leaders and spiritual centers of their sects. They provide a calming voice in difficult or even impossible situations. At times of peace, they are found in schools, lecturing students, or at the library, studying some long-forgotten truth. During battle, they inspire and heal their allies or hinder and scatter their enemies. Additionally, and most importantly, a luminary relies more on their command of quantum channeler abilities than the Aegises or savants regarding attacking and defending him, her, or herself. Ooh, what? That's a little clunky. A little clunky. But we can deal with it. As such, luminaries train in quantum rituals that allow them to better manipulate space-time, gravity, and other fundamental forces of the universe. Universe. Furthermore, luminaries are still trained in the renowned battle matrices, made famous by the Aegises. However, the luminaries' own version, while still formidable, focuses more on self-defense than on that attack or defending allies. Okay, that's another bit of clunk. A luminary's place in danger is with the wounded or even the defeated, rallying them to fight once more. Okay. Archetype features. Enter the Force. All right. All shaped singularity attacks are increased out to 100-foot range, but are still considered a CQC attack. They haven't told us what the heck is a shaped singularity attack. I love the term. Wish I knew what it was. Have to find out later, I guess. Ritual casting. Channeler's heal. Then we get some suggested backgrounds. I'm poor. Why would you pick I'm poor? But you gain 2 backgrounds. So I'm poor. Start with half the normal credits. You cannot use a starter package for gear. You gain 2 backgrounds. A net gain of 1. This does not count as gaining advancement points. Okay. So basically, I think they could probably be worded a little bit better, but you are exchanging money and gear for an extra background. That's the bottom line. Channeler's heal upgrade, academy trained, undergrad work. Suggested routes for advancement, Silver Order pledge, true channeler caster, and then we get some attack options, which I'm not reading through, but I'm sure they're cool. Sectless or rogue quantum channelers. Existing outside of channeler sects, rogue channelers are often self-taught warriors, teachers, members of secret societies, or bloodlines going back hundreds of years. They are strikingly independent individuals whose methods are as varied as their motives, lacking the focus and control of the member-orientated... orientated? Is that a word? Member-oriented channeler sects. Rogue quantum channelers are often destructive and dangerous to their companions, as their enemies. This independence is potentially temporary, as sectless channelers are often forced back under the power of the sects through a variety of methods. Those with the power and the influence to resist such gilded cages often become persons of historical note, with such galactic allure and promise. And being free of the restrictive sect teachings, rogue channelers blaze their own trails across the galaxy. All right, so we got the Savant. They get Quantum Weapon Mastery, Sectless Versatility. These are their features. Cosmic Radiance, Quantum Manifestations. They all sound cool. Changing Manifestations. When you advance a tier, you can retrain your manifestations. That's cool. What says with enough time? With enough time what? Manifestations can be changed at other situations. All right. In between missions, discuss with your gem if you can change a manifestation. That's cool. So it doesn't have to be even completely at the end of an adventure or between adventures. It might even be between missions if you have time. They haven't said how much time it takes, but it's GM discretion. Savant's Attunement. The longer the battle rages, the better you can unconsciously feel the weaves of battle to predict the reactions of your enemies. All right, nice. Use a support action to become attuned to a single target. For every round you are attuned with the target, you gain a +1 bonus to attack and damage rolls. That's cool. Maximum Attunement. Reduce the attunement bonus by 4. Choose what defense you want to attack against this target for the rest of the conflict. Not sure what that means, but it seems like you can reduce the attunement bonus by 4. So you have this attunement bonus. You can reduce it by 4. Choose what defense you want to attack against this target. I don't know. I don't know what it means, but sure. Seems like something where you're giving up some of your bonus to be able to attack a particular defense. Not super clear. Maybe when we get to combat, it will be made clearer. Suggested starter backgrounds, personal regeneration. Ooh, that sounds like a... Why wouldn't everybody want personal regeneration? Weapon focus and splatterproof. And then we got some suggested routes for advancement, the jack of all trades, the quantum driver, and the natural. I'm assuming not the movie or Butch Reed. Just a natural. Oh, here we go. Tech archetypes. The fusion of sentient and machine has given rise to an entire archetype of individuals that possess incredible abilities. The tech archetypes have seized often secret information and technology and fused it to his, her, or their body. I think you could just use their. I don't think you got to give the his, her, or their. Sorry about that. Copywriting brain intruding once again. They are truly a melding of machine and flesh for the sole purpose of achieving goals beyond the limitations of a frail mortal frame. This blending has created a powerful subculture where rule is decided by how close an individual comes to machine without stepping over that boundary. Tech archetypes were formed using discarded Tech Guild, a group of individuals that both openly and covertly challenge the financial control of the corporations and the political power of the Senate to meet their own mostly secret goals. Well, that's lots of mouthful to throw in there as a parenthetical. Maybe you could just have put Tech Guild somewhere else earlier on. Maybe they did and I missed it, but mouthful right there. Tech Guild equipment and ideas. While being a member of the tech archetypes in no way makes one a member of the group, the Tech Guild usually keeps an eye, cybernetic or otherwise, wink wink, open for worthy additions. All right. You too may join the Tech Guild if you qualify. Major implants domain archetypes. These archetypes are characterized by additions of massive amounts of technology inside their own body. Yes. All right. Attack options. Unstable prototype. Is that like IG-11? Wants to blow itself up all the time. On a hit, all enemies adjacent to the target take energy damage. That's cool. Okay. What else we got? Oh, that's it. Droid Master. Let's see. Suggested. Okay. Combat training. You make awesome robots. Yay. Archetype features. Your horde. All right. So it looks like you make bots. You're making bots. That's cool. Neural link. As your body adjusts and optimizes to your surgeries, your neural link gains strength represented by a number. If a bot/droid is destroyed, you take half of its neural link value as energy damage to your health. This damage pierces all your damage tolerance and damage reduction. Yeah, it goes straight to your spine. Wait, what's the good part about that? There isn't one. Okay. All right. It is what it is. Suggested starter backgrounds, tech weapon training, improved neural strength, armor infantry, suggested routes for advancement, share the love, skill master, don't want to die. All right. All good. I like the pictures of the droids in here. We've got sort of a hover type droid. We have a quadruped droid. And on the other page was a different kind of quadruped droid. That one looked like it had little missiles attached to it. So cute. I shall call him Doug. Your loyal bots. Ooh, this is interesting. This is definitely different than the other archetypes we looked at so far. So we got, I'm just going to rattle off the names. Not going to go through everything. Their names look like they're pretty self-explanatory. Scavenge bot, repair bot, squirrel bot, hacking bot, shield bot, and blast bot. Go, blast bot, go. Kind of like Soundwave. I mean, that's cool. Yeah, I would definitely let somebody totally Soundwave up and have like a cassette deck on their chest that would spit out these bots. Ooh, mighty battle droids. Rank 1 battle droid, Harakiri droid. Rank T, 2. I can't tell. Rank, even with the glasses, it's kind of hard to say. I guess maybe it's rank 2 and rank 3. That makes the most sense, but I don't know. I'm just reading the serifs. Just can't tell if it's T-I or if it's 2 I's. Anyway, rank 2, rank 3. The Harakiri one, what the heck is that? I do need to look at that one. Okay, here's the special. Oh, once seppuku. Oh, boy. All right, so yeah, you're just kind of blowing itself up. You can also build a toxic damage version, but I guess it does it. So let's see. Okay, so it just does a lot of damage, but does this mean that you take damage half its link? I guess it's only neural link value 1, 2, so I guess you would take 1 damage from sending forth the Harakiri droid. I don't know if I like the name. I'm not Japanese. I'm not of a culture that was affected. I mean, obviously, I'm Americans. We fought the Japanese. I don't know if I'm down with Harakiri and seppuku, but I mean, I know it's not. It's not World War II specifically. It's samurai and whatnot. So yeah, obviously but it just has weird. To me, it just has kind of a strange connotation. That could just be me. So ignore it if you don't feel it, or rename it. Let's see, Nanisians. The Nanisian. While others concentrate on the large and imposing, the Nanisian is a matter of creating and programming near to microscopic machines called nanites. The Nanisian has spent decades of their life perfecting this obscure and nearly forgotten form of forbidden technology. Okay. We have some features here. The nanite swarm. Release the swarm as a support action. Millions of nanites pour out of your pores, creating a small zone, a radius equal in size to 10 times your intellect of feet. Around you, filled with near microscopic robots. The nanites obey your commands, but they are not living sentient creatures and therefore are very limited in what they can accomplish. The swarm zone moves with you. The swarm is very visible and grants you partial concealment to any creature outside it. You cannot enter or maintain stealth with the swarm active, though without specific circumstances. You cannot enter or maintain stealth with the swarm active, though. Yeah, it's a little more clunk. You also gain +2 infantry plating. So basically, it's not a fully fleshed shield, but they will absorb some damage. And here they give you the actions that your swarm can take. Yours to command. Performs a skill check it is trained with. I guess we'll read later what skills they are trained with. Nanocrypsis. Allies in the swarm can gain partial concealment, so I guess they can conceal other party members, other allies besides you. Black swarm. Let's see. At your mental command, you funnel the entire might of the swarm onto a single victim inside of it. You can basically attack a creature in the swarm. Nano shield. Oh, here we go. So it can make an actual shield. The swarm distributes away some of the energy from an attack made against you. Actually applies to all allies in the swarm, so that's nice. Nanite repair. I'm guessing it's some kind of heal. You and your allies get regeneration. Well, it says all allies, not you and your allies. Does that mean it can't do you, or are you included in all allies? Interesting question. I would assume it includes you, but who knows? Maybe not, because they're part of you anyway. I don't know. Let's see. Virus. You can deal some kinetic damage to enemies within the swarm, which pierces all damage reduction. That's nice. We get host fusion. The nanites can spend a tech surge. Oh, that's to reuse. Okay. The swarm can persist in granting nanite repairs regeneration even outside of combat for 1 minute. This contracts the swarm by 10 feet for the next hour as the swarm works to replenish the large amounts of nanites depleted. And the Nanisian can spend a tech surge to reuse this ability. The number of tech surges increases by 1 each time it is used before a complete rest. And then there's a reference for more info about tech surges. Ooh. Okay. I got an hour. Let's see how far I can get. I got 1 more hour. What can I do? How far can I get? Let's finish off this for certain and then see where we stand. Suggested starter backgrounds. Boom shakalaka. dynamic efficiency, safety of the swarm. And then we have some suggested routes for advancement, the healer, self-made sentient, and hands unseen. And then we have some attack options. The operator looks kind of like a golem with a some kind of sword attachment. Or what's the thing in not Dark Sun, Eberron, the Warforged. Though I'd say the Warforged has more, I don't know, it almost looks like the art always has more, I don't know, like almost like tendons and kind of muscle kind of thing. And this looks more like slabs of metal put together. Okay, let's see. Heavy armor has always been not heavy enough for you. Whoa. Well, what are you doing that? All right, I'll leave. In fact, you have built your own armor, the likes of which those martial suckers who always picked on you as a child could only dream of. While others trained with advanced weapons or with the mysteries of the quantum universe, you devoted your entire being to construct the most innovative, mechanized defense platform in existence. Your custom-made and custom-operated mech suit towers over the fools that once mocked you. Now no one does. You would not trade this self-assuredness for all the Clavians in the renowned galaxy. I don't know what a Clavian is, but maybe it's money. Only your great intellect could guide this behemoth of metal and technology. Point of fact, wearing this suit would kill anyone but you. It's good to know. You are nothing without the suit, but so is the suit nothing without you. Bum, bum, bum. Okay, so you are an operator. Not a smooth operator, more of a mech operator. Archetype features, congratulations. It's a metal monster. All right, so kind of Dr. Frankenstein-ish. We have a Mark 1 at beta tier. You get, let's see, gamer, so it's going to kind of keep advancing at beta tier and then a gamma tier. Second skin in the mech, the operator can use their intellect on any skill roll that normally requires physicality or endurance. That's cool, right? Because the machine is taking care of the physical part. You are just providing the mind, the brain. Weapon jamming. That sounds cool. Here we got some suggested starter backgrounds. Toughness, extra shielding, tech weapon training. Suggested routes for advancement, durable defender, devastating DPR. What is DPR? Damage per round. Okay. I kind of feel like the name. I just don't like that DPR just because it's totally a meta term and then not a fictional term. But you know, that's just me. Electro rounded. Cool. And we got some attack options. All right, on the backgrounds. So we got training and backgrounds. We have archetype backgrounds. We have power source backgrounds. We have universal backgrounds. I want to read about trainings and backgrounds because again, when I think of backgrounds in an RPG, I think about things that are sort of in the past in your backstory and don't reflect how you advance in the game. But it seems like these do have some kind of advancement element. And actually says that advancement points as a player advances, as a player plays the game, they increase in tiers and power by earning advancement points. Typically, one advancement point is awarded at the end of every session, which are customarily 1 to 3 hours of play. Okay. Advancement points are used to purchase training and backgrounds, which allow a character to advance up tiers. Okay, so backgrounds are not only can you advance them, but they are integral to advancing. Thus, the entire player advancement system is the earning of advancement points, the spending of these points to purchase training and backgrounds, and the accumulation of trained backgrounds. Okay. Background chains. Backgrounds really have two categories, open and chains. Open backgrounds can be taken without regards to anything but tier. If you are high enough tier, you can... I lost my spot for a second. If you are high enough tier, you can take the background. Background chains must you start at the beginning. So basically, it's ones that you can take without prerequisites other than tier, and some backgrounds you have to have backgrounds beforehand. So really, it's kind of feats and feat chaining. If you played 3 or 3.5 edition D&D, right, you'll be familiar with feat chains. Let's see. There are 4 exceptions that are written into background chains.
now. Some chains will update one part of a background saying, now you have blank, okay? Or dot, dot, dot. This only replaces that specific aspect of the background. Okay, also, if a background link begins with also, this benefit is added to the benefit of the previous link. All right, bonus. Benefits granted by different backgrounds do not combine with each other. The exception is that the background grants a bonus, quote-unquote bonus amount. Okay, equipment. When backgrounds grant training in a weapon, item, or armor, and the next tier grants another such item, then you gain training with both items. Okay. Here we have some red boxed text. Presuming this is important. Strategic rule, background cap. Character cannot train in more than 100 advancement points. As a character gains points, they can choose to adjust backgrounds, replace trainings, but they are not allowed to ever spend more than 100 points. All prerequisite backgrounds still apply. All right. No matter how many advancement points you get, you can't go over 100. That's the hard cap. Combining background for each statistic of a character defense. One background chain can improve the score. The exception to this is when the benefit is labeled as a bonus. All right. Backgrounds in the 6 tiers. All right, let's get into the backgrounds here. All right, so reading a background, I'm going to skip character quick paths. What's a quick path? It can start to feel overwhelming to build a character with all these options, but there are ways to make it simpler. First, understand that to advance each tier, you will select 8 backgrounds. That means a character could choose 8 background chains to follow, and they can carry them into Omega tier. Omega tier. Their character, wait a minute. Choose 8. You could choose it to follow, and they can carry them into Omega tier. Something's missing. Something's missing there. We have a few paths set up. Okay, so it's just basically some quick paths. All right, well, I don't need to read the quick paths because we're going to read the individual chains. Whoa! All right, I am not going to read through the giant table. Fighting round. Okay, so we have some fighting backgrounds, combat, and fighting styles. Where's the name? Yeah, this is a little bit strange. I would have thought the name should be first. So the table's laid out chain, then type, then name, then tier, the cost, and the description. Whereas I would probably have put name first, and just reading it, I got to all of a sudden go to the middle column, and then maybe type, and then whether it's a chain or not. But I guess they want to do it. So this is one chain, the first. Shielding. Okay, yeah, I feel like this table. Okay, the table is maybe not the best for me. Obviously, to each your own. I'm not going to read through all these. You just have shielding. You have advanced shield, advanced striking, blind fighting, careful assault, chopper, get to the chopper, close and closer, defensive duelist. We can kind of get a sense for what these are giving you from the names. Dexterous brawling, energy mastery, giant rage monster, giant slayer, healer, improved defense, improved discipline, improved initiative, improved stamina, mobility, morale unending, overcharged attack, personal regeneration, plate breaker, pressure fighting, quick, the quickening. No, it's just called quick, but the Highlander in me wants to say the quickening. Shield wall, splatterproof, squadron tactics, submission fighting. Ooh, I like the idea of submission fighting. Throng tactics, warcaster, weapon focus, weapon piercing. Commander, crack shots, dual pistols. All right, I'm going to stop reading these. You get the idea. There's a lot. You got a lot. Now we got some health backgrounds. We have affiliation backgrounds. I'm just going to read on the affiliation backgrounds because these seem interesting and a little bit different. These backgrounds have far less to do with combat and more to do with who your character is and how they interact with the world around you, despite their lack of exploration. These backgrounds can benefit almost any character. All right, so you get some kind of affiliations. Something like to give an example, the Baha Hedja Consortium. And you can get stuff like free gate travel. So that's cool. It's kind of like you're joining guilds or organizations of some kind, or people in them. I like it. No way of knowing from this how balanced they are, if it's better to take these or, the other ones that'll be more useful moment to moment. But certainly it's a good option to have. All right, just checking the time. I guess I could check on my computer and not look behind me, or behind the computer, but whatever. I'm not efficient. All right, so a bunch of different ones of those. A whole lot of different ones of those. Okay, now we have equipment backgrounds. Basically, training and using different bits, using different items. Financial backgrounds. You can start with more or less money. Power swap backgrounds. Resolve backgrounds. Skill backgrounds. Alertness, animal handling, crafting, that sort. Social backgrounds. Academy training. Bad childhood. Forever child. Interesting that some of these are definitely things that you would think about as part of backstories, but that they actually have links. So bad childhood, for example, is a chain that has 3 links in it. And it's interesting because you'd think, well, why would bad childhood progress as you get as you game, since something that's assuming you're not playing out the bad childhood as the mission or campaign. But maybe it's to factor in how you come to grips with things, how you as a person are able to draw more out of those experiences as you get older. So it's an interesting concept. Definitely a different way of looking at it. Power source and archetype backgrounds. So here we have, these are the ones that are based on the archetypes you're choosing. So we have the CP, which was the combat physician specialist options. I'm not going to read through them all, but you can see that there's a lot. So I guess the main takeaway from this section is you have a lot of these backgrounds that you can pick up. You have all the ones from the general ones from your species. You have all these ones from your archetype that you can choose. There's a lot. So I'm just going to roll on through these here, but know that you have a lot. Know that there are many. And again, it's good to have those quick paths at the beginning because you could spend a lot of time, I think, trying to find out which one of these work. And of course, just reading this, I have no way of knowing in gameplay which ones are more useful or which ones are more niche or which ones fit better with your group. There's going to be a lot of dithering on those. Moving right along, moving. Whoo. All right, society and the renown. I don't know if it's renown or renown. Galaxy. Okay, I'm gonna skip this. This is, I don't know. As you know, I don't want to dig into too much of the lore because that's something to be discovered right through play. We already talked about in the background at the beginning of the stream. And if you're catching up to this late, at the end of this or wherever, you can backtrack. And there's a little bit of that background. Looks like it has some. Looks like there's some plot hooks in there which they call seeds. They have super scrapers. There's the eye of the universe. So different areas. It's cool. Different areas. I think you could read up on and give you a little bit more if this is where you want to place your campaign, and then some ideas of things that are happening or things to do in there. Here we have some of these affiliations. We have the corporations, the Atori Gear, and they have some seeds for them. I like all this stuff with seeds. I kind of wish they would explain at least at one point that a seed, I think, is a plot hook, because again, it might not be common knowledge. It's one of those RPG terms that if you've been playing a lot of RPGs, you're going to be aware of, but if you're new, you might not, and you might go, what the heck is a seed? And they don't ever say. We're talking about plot hooks. It's kind of one of those things that you use seed instead of the word plot hook. What are you gaining from it, right? If you just say Atori Gear plot hooks, I think a lot more people are going to get it right away. You say seeds. Just me. But I really do appreciate that they're giving you these corporations that might be interesting from a player to see if they want to become affiliated with them or want to write that into their characters. And then for the GMs to then look at that and say, okay, here are some interesting things that I can pull on to create missions or campaigns on that involve these different corporations. But I'm not going to go through them all. And we have the quantum channeler orders. There's the purple order, the gold order, the silver order. And again, plot hooks for all of those. Very cool. Lodges. These are the semi-ruling bodies of the peoples who I will not call the Elmen. And they have the Sistra and the Kotelek. And again, they have plot hooks for those. And we have primal circles. Plot hooks for them. Plot hooks for everybody. It's very cool. I like it. Okay, so here we have some kind of galactic map. Very general. It looks like the spiral galaxy. On one edge of the spiral, maybe if you were looking like a hurricane, it'd be the front edge, the leading edge. There's most of that is the Metropolitan Republic space. Then we have the Renge frontier, and then the Renge hegemony space, and then on the backside, it's what they're calling suspected Manu territory. Manu are another alien in that they're neither Renge or part of the metropolitan space. What we think, I guess, is unknown. If it's they're saying here it's suspected territory for them, and there's some kind of incursion zone, some area of space that they are moving into, but perhaps not beyond. And then there's on sort of the one edge is also some place called Lanakila. It's a great oceanic world on the part of the Great Frontier, which is the space that I guess is claimed by no one. It's the neutral zone, if you will. But they call out Lanakila in by itself, and I'm just wondering why. What makes Lanakila special? On a giant oceanic world in the Great Frontier, Ho Pao Ka, the leader of the Lair Corporation, has made Lanakila into his capital. Massive islands, both natural and artificial, rise out of the water across the endless oceans, except around the polar ice caps. Originally, the planet was inhabited by only primal Loans, but as Lair has expanded, the planet has become a haven for a variety of peoples. All right, so kind of Loan homeworld. Now it's got a large corporate presence, and it's got some plot hooks for that. The Renge Frontier. Plot hooks for that. The Helix. What is the Helix? Let me go back to the map. Is that... Okay, the Helix is sort of between where the Renge Frontier, or kind of between the Renge Frontier and the Manu Incursion Zone. What do they say about the Helix? Formed sometime during the last 2 or 3 millennia, the Helix is the largest artificial satellite in the Renown galaxy. Built by a collection of species, including the Renge, Romani, who I don't know who they are, the Raptor, Sul, don't know who they are, the Wilders, don't know who they are, and several, we won't call them Elmen, and Kodaman clans. The Helix is approximately 50 miles long and 8 miles wide. Wow, it's pretty cool. And we get some seeds for the Helix. Excelente. Okay, so we got some, here we get into gameplay. All right, so we got a little fluff break. So time, roughly 20 to 24 hours. A complete rest is 8 hours down. A break is 30 minutes. All right, so you're essentially your long rest and short rest. Though they give only a 30 minutes for a short rest as opposed to an hour. Conflict, rounds, turns. A turn, what a character does in a round. Each character will take a turn in a conflict in order of their initiative score, okay? Around 3 to 5 seconds, right? So we're talking combat rounds. Main actions, you've got support actions, you've got tertiary actions. This all seems to be combat oriented so far. Response actions, you have interventions, retaliations. Okay, so an intervention you can do before the triggering event. Retaliation is after the triggering event. They're going to talk about actions that trigger response actions. Then there's a hold action. And we have extra round actions. These are actions that take more than one round. All right, starting your turn, ending your turn. All right. Movement. Costs support action. A standard movement is a movement in any direction along the ground of a length limited by your character's species, archetype, and equipment. Moving consumes 1 of your support actions. Did it say how many actions we get? Okay. Support actions, you get 2 per turn as you start. And then there are some things that will allow you to get more. So we know we have 2. So that allows you to take a 1 movement action. And you have a main action. Okay, so you can rush, you can charge, you can disengage. Let's see, difficult terrain, halves your speed. Standard, you can teleport. Movement restrictions, they have crouching, dropped. I guess when you're unconscious, you've been dropped. Obviously, you can die, you can be immobilized, you can go prone, you can be slowed. You can also be pushed, pulled, you can be falling. They have trip attacks and pushing and pulling attacks. You can attack after movement. A PC or NPC can choose to break up their movement or end of movement action capped with a main action or support action. So you can move and attack, move, attack, move. Attack, move. Standard stuff. It's interesting that that stuff's outside of combat, but all those things seem pretty much geared towards combat. I don't know if there's some guidance somewhere on when you would go into this kind of conflict mode when you're not in combat. But interesting. All right, so you can... Let's see. Once a fight starts... Oh gosh, I feel a sneeze coming on. Let's see if I can hold it off. Once a fight starts, it is confrontation between... It is a confrontation between two sides. That battle will have a beginning initiative. That battle will have a beginning. Yes, it will. Initiative or ambush. The rounds of combat and an end. Oh boy, try not to be on the dead side. Yeah, that's a good thing. All right, so that's ambushing is their version of surprise. You have an initiative score. High initiative goes first, and if in a tie, roll d20. So that's interesting. So you're pretty much going to get to be able to lock in your initiative score. So it's not random. You can really plan to be. I mean, obviously in D&D and those kind of games, you can try to play for a high initiative by getting a bunch of bonuses, but if you roll low, you might go last. Here, there's a emphasis on your initiative is fixed with how you build your character, right? So if you want to be a guy that goes first all the time, you can build yourself to go first all the time, and in a sense, you can be relatively assured that you will go first most of the time. Okay, there's a red box text about ambushing, a strategic rule. If one side of the conflict is aware of the other before combat begins, they can ambush the other side. Right. If only one side notices the other, they can attempt an ambush. Right, that's just okay. The ambushing side gets to determine the initiative order in combat of their side. That's nice. And their entire team gets to attack before the other side can respond. All attacks with advantage. All right. They haven't told us advantage yet, but I know what it is from D&D, but maybe it's back in the dice mechanic. I did gloss over dice mechanics, so maybe they did cover it there. I missed it. All right, attacking. Yeah, you got your attack rolls, your attack score, weapon training bonus. Okay, attacking attribute. So CQC, close quarters combat, uses physicality. Range uses finesse. Space magic uses will. Tech uses intellect. Primal uses physicality for throwing things. Old ways, rituals, the old ways. Uses endurance to attack and intelligence for defense. Okay. A little bit of shades of psionics, kind of. Background increase, the improvement to your attack score from backgrounds. Okay, any weapon enhancements. All right, so you have a basic attack. Attacking penalties from distance, partial concealment, complete concealment. You can be suppressed. A creature receives a disadvantage to attack rolls if it chooses to not attack a creature that has suppressed it. Okay. What does that mean? I haven't seen it. I didn't see a suppressing attack yet. All right. A creature receives a disadvantage to attack rolls if it chooses to not attack a creature that has suppressed it. So if someone suppresses you and you try to attack something else, that's where the penalty comes in. Okay. Okay. What is suppressing? You got your health. All right, you got defending, defense, unarmored defense. We got another red box on damage reduction and piercing, a quote-unquote strategic rule. There are 3 ascending tiers, so it's about plating. 3 ascending tiers of plating: infantry plating, vehicle plating, hardened plating. Hardened plating, so infantry plating is your general individual armor. Hardened vehicle plating is on smaller vehicles, and then hardened plating is stuff you get on warships, spaceships. Piercing weapons ignore amounts of plating. Standard piercing affects infantry plating. To pierce higher levels of plating, the weapon would be labeled appropriately. Okay. And you have shielding. On to stamina, discipline. So you can get damage, so you can reduce damage. You have tolerance to damage. Damage reduction, just went over shielding or plating. And we have shielding, which is for only for plating is for all damage. Shielding is for missile weapons. Right? But I guess are there different types? Maybe there are, because it talks about energy shields. Untyped damage reduction. All right, and then I kind of like this a little bit. Putting it all together. So when an attack is made, you follow these steps. Check to see if it hits, subtract damage tolerance, subtract plating, subtract shielding, remove damage from the health. Bingo bango. And then I guess if it is a mental or some other attack, then you remove it from. I guess that doesn't matter. It's just on the defense. So anyway, that seems pretty straightforward. Critical hits, when a player or the GM rolls a natural 20, there is a critical hit. And there are critical hit effects. Deal bonus damage equal to 10% of the victim's total health as damage. Again, with the 10%. But I guess you can just write it on the side, so you can keep that number handy. And it's their total health, not their current health, right? So it's not going to keep going down and down and down. It's just going to be a flat number. It's not relative to how much health they have. All right, so wounded, they have their version of bloodied, which is called wounded at half health. So if you lose half of your health, then you are wounded. When this happens, a character is hurt and visibly so. Even untrained individuals can determine that a character is wounded. I like that. I like bloody too in 4th edition. You know, at that point you could see that you've at least done something to a creature. You've taken your toll on an enemy. Rocked. Yeah, you fall to 0. You're rocked. You be rocked. You're barely hanging on. You can stabilize using an appropriate skill check. So someone who's rocked, dropped, or unconscious. At this point, choose to fight through or be dropped. So after you're stabilized, you can choose to fight through or remain dropped. Let's see. Fight through says choosing to fight through is not a choice to be made lightly. First, you take a dismemberment. Ooh, from the main list. Oh, there's a dismemberment list. Now we're talking. Then each hit in combat causes a critical trauma. Yikes. Thirdly, any critical hit you take kills you. Ooh. Ugh. At this cost, though, you can continue to take your normal actions, but be careful of the long-term damage you are doing to your character. At any time, you can choose to drop, but you do not lose the dismemberment or any other critical trauma. All right, so yeah, you can get healed. You can. Wait, hold on a minute. I guess you get stabilized and then you choose, or this is where the spacing kind of messes me up. I can't tell whether you have to be stabilized before you can choose to fight through, or if you just get rocked. Let's see. Hold on. Okay, maybe it says here and I missed it. Yeah, I did miss something. So it says under rocked. In addition to the penalties for being wounded, all regeneration damage reductions stop, and you will lose 1 archetype health die. One archetype health die. Health. Or species die for null tier characters. That's a little bit. At the end of your turn, until stabilized, or you die. Okay, so then you can stabilize. I don't know. It doesn't. Excuse me. It doesn't say whether you have to be stabilized to fight through or not. Okay, but you can potentially fight through. Maybe you have to be stabilized first. Fight through is an interesting option. Obviously, it's very much you're rolling the dice, but you might need to for your party. Might be, you might be in that kind of situation. You just gotta get up and try to carry on. I'm curious to see what the dismemberment and trauma look like. Dropped. When rocked, character can choose to drop. Okay. So maybe when you're rocked, you can choose to fight through or drop. You don't have to be stabilized first. Maybe. They fall prone to the ground and struggle to remain conscious, but they do not receive severe damage to their body. You are not out of the fight completely, though. Small actions can still be taken by you depending on your endurance. Each turn, roll an enduring check. Or do they mean endurance? 1 to 5. Okay, so you can kind of remain conscious, but you might fall unconscious at any time. You might be able to perform a dropped action. 10 plus damage past 0. You may spend a grit point to perform a support action and take 1d6 damage. If you were stabilized, you were no longer stabilized. That's cool. I like that. It's nice you have some options. If you drop, you're not just hanging out there. You actually have options. I mean, you could go unconscious right away, and then in that case, you're kind of out of it, but you could still be useful. I could see some cool things happening from that. Dropped actions. Move 10 feet. Stabilize yourself. That's nice. Use a piece of equipment like a healing tonic. Communicate with allies. Dead. Wounded, value below 0. You are dead. Hopefully someone lives through the mess and can get your corpse to someone or some tech which can revive you. So can you? I guess you can be revived from being dead. There's some kind of what do you call it? Like reincarnation, not reincarnation. I don't know. You can be brought back. All right, here we go. Maiming effects. Wounds. When a player becomes wounded, one of the effects is the maim called a wound. So why not just call it the maim? I don't understand. It's like needlessly verbose a bit. Roll a d20, or if the situation fits one particularly, the GM and player can agree to select one, and the player receives the corresponding wound from the maim chart. This wound persists until the character finishes a complete rest. Okay, so it's not permanent. So what kind of, let's see, maim name. The maim name. Let's play the maim name game, everybody. First up is Soul Drained. Burns. Injured torso, broken ribs. Eye ocular sensor damage. Concussion. A head injury. An arm is crippled. You've got scar tissue. Half dead. Thanatophobia. Fear of death. Broken hand or gauntlet. Internal damage. Damage to your communication device. Broken leg or leg armor. Broken foot or greave. Damaged weapon system. Armor malfunction. Armor is damaged or exhausted/depleted. Ba-dum-bum. So what happens if you roll 20? This is because the chart on the page only goes up to 19. Is there a 20 that's somewhere else? We will see. Let's see. Okay, now we have critical trauma. The maims inflicted by critical hits are called critical traumas. Again, why not just call them critical? I don't know. And they last until the end of the following session. Okay. That's interesting. So they do go away, but they last a whole other session. But is there a way to heal it ahead of that? Or that's it? You just got to deal with it. Okay, it says so. Certain healing abilities can remove maiming effects from a creature, but only the most powerful, the most expensive ability can remove more than one maiming effect at a time. Okay. Dismemberments. All right. So the critical trauma, it just gives you. So basically, the maim name game, the maim names remain the same, and just it's the effect that goes up. So if, for example, I'm not going to go through all of these, you get soul drained. If it's a wound, your health total is lowered by 10%. If it's critical, your health total is lowered by, I guess, an addition. No, I guess it's still just 10%. And then if it's dismemberment, your health total is lowered by 10% and you feel perpetually hungry. That's interesting. Okay. Let's pick a different one just to see if there's something more interesting. Internal damage. Let's see. Let's go to broken hand. All right. So broken hand or gauntlet, in case you're a machine man. Wounds, if it's a wound level, it's -2 to damage and skills that require hands. If it's critical, it's -3 to damage and skills that require hands, and then dismemberment -5. So it's just, right, it's all about severity. Maims, ladies and gentlemen. Oh boy. See, this is one of the things, look, okay, I don't want to do this, but if you're going to go on to the next page, put the whole table on the next page and give some spacing here. Please. For the love of my eyes, space that out. Maybe bump it up a font size. Give me something. All right, so we got damage types. There's kinetic energy. There's damage energy. Damage energy. There's Kinetic damage. There's energy damage. Old ways damage. Magic damage. Cosmic damage. Toxic damage. And then you've got subdual, I guess, if you just want to knock people out, assuming it's same as subdual, right? I'm not going to go through all those. I think it's your, you can imagine, energy damage, cold. Interesting that psionic is an energy damage and not a magical damage. I guess that makes sense. Heat, energy, cold, heat, electrical, psionic, necrotic, reality-based damage is magic. Cosmic damage is its own thing. And then you have acid, disease, or poison, which is all toxic. And then kinetic, your kinetic stuff. And then we have recurring effects, right? Stuff that's going to last with you for a while until you get rid of it. Now you can recover health. Get your complete rest. That's your long rest. Get your breaks, your short rest. You've got regen, and you have healing abilities or gear. Here we got the bit on morale, which I am interested in a bit because it's one of those things that is sort of player agency affecting. Devastating strikes or crushing turns of affairs can change the tide of any conflict. Morale is a character's ability to withstand the pressure of events without becoming overwhelmed. Morale, part of the resolve skill block, represents the amount of mental control a character has and the amount of mental stress a character can endure before breaking down. All right. If you're demoralized, you have to run away. And you can rally demoralized folk with the rally action. And there's a couple of strategic rules here. I skipped over the one for rest. I don't think I need to go on that. It's just healing. I'm more interested in the morale one. The following events will reduce morale by 1. I don't even think you need that there. Suffering a critical trauma or dismemberment, suffering a wound, an ally or party member is dropped in a large-scale battle. 10% of the character's army is dropped. And then some things will boost morale. An ally performs a rally action. An enemy that caused a morale threat drops or flees. You recover from a wound. Combat ends. That's nice to know that if combat ends, you can get some morale back. Once a character's morale reaches 0, they must roll a recurring check every time they take damage or face a morale threat. Okay. If they fail the recurring check, the character is demoralized. Don't get demoralized. All right, so we have a bunch of effects or conditions. It's the kind of things that, ambushed, blind, ambushed, surprised as a condition. You're prone, you're immobilized, you're suppressed, you're frightened, so on and so forth. I'm not going to go through them all. I think they're fairly standard. You can be weakened, which is cool. Tangled. Types of attacks. All right, I'm just going to go through those. So I'm not going to go through these in great depth, right? I think we're used to them. CQC, close quarters combat, melee, basically ranged attack. You have two-handed CQC / mounted weapons. I guess they mean mounted by, like, if it's part of you, like the whichever golem-looking guy kind of had the sword that looked like it was part of it. I guess that's what they mean by mounted weapons. You have grappling. Let's see what the hell they do grappling really quick, because I am on record as not being a big fan of, actually went back a page, of 5th edition grapple. So let me just run through it. Let's see. Grappling is attempting to choke, pummel, or break the limbs. A little typo. They got limps. Limbs of an NPC or PC. To do so, a character must have received training in the advanced hand-to-hand combat. Okay. More interested in, I get what grappling is. Let's see how you started. Okay. Starting a grapple. Move adjacent to your target space and spend a main action to trigger a grapple. Roll a CQC attack. I like that it is an attack. Roll. And meet or exceed the target's stamina. If this succeeds, then the target is grappled through next turn. The creature can maintain this grapple as a support action at the start of each of their turns. All right. Attacking a grappled creature. Those trained in advanced hand-to-hand can also attempt basic attacks with weapons with the offhand property. So if you have an offhand weapon, you can kind of grab them and try to shiv them. And you can try to break the grapple, reverse the grapple. Ooh, you can join in the grapple. Nice. Any character can jump into a... Whoa. Yeah, that's another typo. A grappling character grants advantage to CQC attacks, and if two creatures are grappling one creature no more than one size category larger than them, they gain advantage on all checks and attacks in the grapple. That's cool. Grappling in combat. Characters can rotate between CQC, hand-to-hand, and grappling throughout a conflict depending on which tactic helps them the most. All right. That's fine. Okay. All right, so there's nothing really special over there. Let's see. Any ranged attack made by a target that is being grappled on anyone other than the grappling creature. Wait. Any ranged attack made by a target that is being grappled. Oh, okay. That suffers situational disadvantage. Okay. And you get advantage on close quarters attacks made by a creature on a grappled target. You can immobilize them. Oh, they got coup de grace. Coup de grace. Excellent. I mean, it's nasty, but it's comes up often enough that it's nice to have an actual ruling for it. However you want to handle it. You know, there's some things get kind of silly when you're rolling. If someone's immobilized or they're asleep or some other thing, you know, that idea of, but I could just slit their throats. Why do I have to roll attacks and damage and even, you know, this or that? Why can't I just slit their throat and it be done? Well, coup de grace. Coup de grace. There it is. All right. So you have some attack options. You have your recharge. Oh, let me read about attack options. A player should follow the instructions on the attack itself to find out how it benefits them, not noting specific keywords. Automatic effect, this happens no matter what. On a hit, this only occurs when an attack connects. Okay, that's kind of what I wanted to know about that. Not all weapons can use attack options. Most of the more powerful categories of weapons cannot use an attack option without special training. Okay. We got recharge. My cat just knocked over my headphones. Thanks, Bruce. Situational, dis, or advantage. One side has an edge to a benefit. Greater dis. Okay. So they're not. Okay, so they're not using a flat numbers. There you have a +2, -2, or a +5, -5. But then there's a +5. What's the difference between greater advantage and critical advantage? Okay, it's an automatic critical. Okay. Interesting. So you can, there's kind of a +2 level, and then there's the greater one, which is +5, and then, so really it's not, I guess they're not doing the roll 2d20s pick highest. They're literally just adding the numbers. Kind of interesting to call it advantage, disadvantage then, because there's, I feel like at this point there's a, you say that, you know, people are assuming it works a specific way. Right? That's kind of, I feel like that's kind of the point of it, is that instead of doing the math, you're going to roll dice. But in this case, it seems like you're doing the math. So like, why call it advantage and disadvantage? Because, you know, again, for me, the whole point is that if you say that to somebody who's played D&D and maybe they're playing Carbine Jungle, you say, oh, you got advantage. Great. I know exactly what to do. But if I then have to do something different, it just seems to kind of waste the power of the term. Not a biggie, though. Okay, we got a blank space. Maybe there's some art was going to go here. Size categories. All right, I'm not going to get into those. Those seem fairly standard. Senses, your normal senses. Whoops. Sorry, microphone. Enhanced thermal, motion sense, sense life, echolocation, photon mapping. It's cool. Okay, we got skills. I think it's just going to give us more. So we got all the skill blocks. I don't think I'm going to go through all these. Here they're just going through all the skill blocks. Then we've got the actual skills, using skills. Skill frustration, this is interesting. So we got a couple things that are in using skills I think are interesting, so I will go over those, but I'm not going to go through all the skills. Skill complexity, the difficulty of the skill check, right? So basically the difficulty, you know, the DC kind of number using D&D verbiage. Threshold is the health of a skill, quote, unquote. Each skill has a threshold set by the GM. So it's basically how many successes you need to pass if you're doing a skill check. That's great to know. Here we have your skill determination or your frustration. Each character has a frustration threshold for each attribute. This represents your character's poise and mental or emotional determination regarding skill checks associated with the attribute. Failing skill checks depletes the threshold by 1. If a character's threshold is completely drained, then the character automatically fails all future skill checks associated with that threshold. If this threshold is depleted, You'll automatically fail all skill checks with that skill until your threshold is restored. And you restore it by taking a break. There, get 1 back. Any threshold lost during a combat, such as through grappling or ambush, is recovered immediately after a break. Okay, so mostly a break, you just get 1 back, and I guess you get all your combat stuff back after a break, and then get it all back after a complete rest. All right. It's kind of an interesting wrinkle to using skills, right? You can assist, you can oppose, conflicts. Here we have economy and equipment. The currencies are echiums and clavians. So way back when they talked about clavians and I didn't know what they were, so now we know their currency. So is it echiums to the clavian or clavians to the echium? Let's see. Clavians are the fully integrated electronic currency of the metropolis. It is hypothetically impossible to steal clavians, as the system has built-in firewalls and redundant memory makes such a feat impossible. Again, hypothetically. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Maybe someone's doing it. Maybe you could do it. The echium is a currency based upon raw materials. It is a small cube-shaped battery given value by the amount of charge the cube has inside of it. Oh, it's like Energon cubes, the currency, which I guess Energon cubes kind of are a currency. Again, if you could create me a Soundwave character that can pop out bots and spit out echium, I'm down. Send it to me. I want to see it. All right, common cost of salaries. I'm not going to go through this, but having different currencies is kind of cool. I like that it's not just gold pieces, silver pieces, and space. It's something a little bit different. You can get loans. They got bounties. They got banks. All good stuff. Okay, equipment properties. I'm not going to go over these. I'm not going to go through all the weapons lists. Needless to say, there are a lot, which is good. We have descriptions, also good. Shaped. Oh, I do want to see what shaped singularity weapons are. I just want to read just the basic part about it. Despite being one of the most vicious weapons imaginable, shaped singularity weapons are considered non-lethal weapons in the eyes of the law. Shaped singularity weapons are miniature quantum singularities summoned under the control, indeed the absolute domination of a powerful and well-trained quantum channeler. Okay, that's cool. Scary, right? You're bringing a black hole into creation and channeling it somehow. So yeah, I would see why that would make people nervous. But cool. All right, keep scrolling along. Okay, armors now. Again, I'm not going to read them all unless I hit something. Ooh, siege suits. Okay, so they're mechs. Very cool. Dreadnought. Battle platform. I like that. Some cool sci-fi gear in there. I like it. Dreadnought, siege suits. I'm digging those. Faux show. And someone's beeping their car. Hopefully you can't hear that on the stream, but it sounds like it's right in my ear. The wonders of living on the second floor of a New York City apartment. Though actually my neighborhood tends to be quiet, but that doesn't stop people from hitting that car horn at the most inconvenient times. Okay, so we have transportation of vehicles. Again, I'm just going to riff through this. Metropolis Interstellar Gate System. Get around. Jump gates, I guess. You got aero cars. Nice. Exo cars. So they're extraplanetary. I'm guessing aero cars are just within atmosphere. Light freighters. And they, you got all, vehicle features. You got your vehicle class, the kind of drive they have. IS drive, interstellar, galaxy drive. It's capable of FTL, faster than light travel. Packs load, number of passengers. Okay, storage slots, turret bays, right? Your standard spaceship kind of stuff. Ooh, and you got rules for equipment creation, which I will not go through, but I'm glad they have it. In sci-fi games, I think a lot of the fun comes from finding interesting, unique gear or making your own interesting, unique gear. In the homebrew game that I played for many years, that was a large part of the game, was creating our own gear. And there was competition between the players of who could come up with the coolest, most interesting, effective gear. Gear that other people didn't have. And then, of course, someone would make something, and then someone would come across and steal the idea and make their own variant. It was always, at least when it happened to me, I thought it was very humorous. So I had something, and then somebody came out with one. It's kind of like the Pepsi to your Coca-Cola, or the Burger King to your McDonald's. Or the McDonald's, what was the McDowell's to McDonald's from Coming to America? Fun times. I'm glad they have rules. I'm not going to go through them all, but it's cool that they have them for different types. Spine relics, nice stuff from the old world that is gone, but not forgotten. Johnny Rotten, Johnny Rotten. All right, so we have rituals here. So we're magique. You can supercharge rituals. Spells can fail critically. Tier effect descriptions. We got a list of rituals, and there again is a lot. I'm not going to go through them all, but you got a lot of things that will, just going through, looking at this list, things that are going to sound familiar to you if you have played RPGs with spells in them, right? You can summon stuff, teleport, dominate things, go invisible, become friends with the animals, that sort of thing. So we have all the primal rituals. Again, I'm just going to cycle through. I'm definitely feeling the time crunch now too, so I'm trying to make sure I'm not missing anything or making sure I'm going over the important things first, or giving them emphasis. Here we go. Running a game. An important aspect of campaign for a GM to determine before the first session is the basic genre they will explore. That is important. I'm always interested in this stuff because, what guidance, this is people who have developed this game and they've obviously play tested the game and run the game. What guidance are they going to give to you, a prospective GM, to run your own game? So here they're talking about genres: adventure, cosmic horror, cyberpunk, high fantasy. All right, so they're suggesting you can play high fantasy with this. Obviously, there are certainly elements in some of the different species and the Omniwen that definitely have a high fantasy feel, and you could easily play a sort of post-apocalyptic fantasy, Thundar the Barbarian style, energy swords, guys in loincloths, but still having shields and relics from past technological glory floating around. So you could definitely run something like that. Classic kind of space opera. You're talking Star Wars or Flash Gordon. He'll save every one of us. Sword and sorcery, obviously. Yeah, they put energy in parentheses, right? Kind of similar to fantasy stuff, definitely. Same. I guess maybe Thundar would be more a high sword and sorcery than a high fantasy. Either way, I guess something like Shannara type stuff would be more high fantasy and in a sort of future world situation. And here they're giving us some sample plots or some ideas for plots. We've got exploration, frontier. I'm not sure what is frontier as a plot. So these are more themes, maybe, right? Exploration is a theme. Frontiers is a theme. Politics is a theme. Romance is a theme. War is a theme. I don't know if I call these plots so much as themes, right? Because frontier isn't a plot. It's a theme. And they even say it's a theme in the description. So probably more properly called themes, but either way. All right, so they got horror and madness. So you got some horror madness rules if you need it for a horror type game. And there are definitely possibilities for kind of cosmic horror in here. In a horror type game, morale is going to be more important. Got madness and permanent damage, madness points, psychic bleeding. All good stuff. All right, cyberpunk. Also good. You've got notes in here for doing... Oh, I like the table on psychic damage. Very nice. Very nice. Cyberpunk noir. Reading the room. Reputation. The 3 reputation scores. Reputation, how well known you are. Respect, points earned by performing specific tasks that make people in the community respect you. Okay, unlike reputation, these points are spent like currency. That's cool. Fear, points earned by accomplishing intimidating feats. Nice. So you can gain reputation. You can spend respect. You can spend fear. I like those mechanics. I would probably bring those in regardless of the game I was playing, but definitely for a noir type. Noirs are really, films, I love them, but there's something like in a D&D type game, they're really hard to pull off because you really have to have player buy-in, because characters are so quick, or players are so quick to just have their characters kill stuff, where in noir, it's like they have in that table, right? It's often the threat of force. I was watching, The Big Sleep, I guess the other day, and a lot of it is Bogart and one of the sort of this, I forget the guy's name. He was a gang boss. And they're having this conversation, and the guy's basically saying, "Hey, should I torture you?" And they talk about the fact that he might torture them, and then ultimately the guy doesn't. But it's the conversation. Whereas I think in a D&D game, they just torture him. Whereas the fun part of Noir is you have all these coded conversations of what I should do, or I could shoot you, or all these gun hands are the same, but nobody actually shoots each other. There's very few gunfights. It's all about the threat of force. It's about having that force in reserve and who's got the power and who can wield it and who can be smart and kind of maneuver. All that kind of verbal jousting. Hard to do that in D&D unless you have dedicated players, because players are so often just like, well, I just kill them. And then it's kind of like, well, I had this whole shtick going, but it's ruined. All right, I got about 10 minutes. So what can I get through on 10 minutes? All right, building a network, owing favors, refusing to honor a debt. I like it. Okay, so we got war campaigns. This is all good. I'm going to, again, I'm just because I'm running out of time, not because I don't want to talk about it. And I can maybe come back to it in another stream if people are interested. But I like the fact they're laying out these different types of campaigns and what you can do, and different, almost having some optional rules or extra rules if you want to get in there. So here it talks about getting started, starting with a seed, right? I like that. Again, I kind of almost wish some of this was a little bit upfront about, again, explaining what seeds are. Make a map. Talks about drawing a quick map, using a free tool like Donjon. They didn't hyperlink that, but maybe that's just my copy, or did they? No, I think maybe they did. Yep, they did hyperlink it. Add some maps. Maybe it's just my version. This is where I'd kind of like, in some of the other books, is here's a sample adventure. When you say draw a map, what kind of map, right? Because there's a game like this, there's so many different maps. Is it a star system map? Is it the map of a solar system? Is it the map of a planet? Is it the map of a town? Like when you say make a map, what does that mean? Are we just dropping into a dungeon? Are we dropping into a continent? So it's good advice, but I feel like I want to dial in a little bit more. When they say make a map, what do they mean? What kind of scale, when you say getting started, what is the scale we're talking about? What should my first adventure be about? What scale is right for that? Should I just have it in a village? Kind of like the old fantasy campaign would be. Should it be on a station? Give me a couple tools. Give me some tools. Maybe they're beyond, but I would like them here or referenced here would help me. Set up fights, make a boss, reward the party. Yep, that's good. Pace of progression, starting small. Good advice. So here we're going to talk about dungeon crawls. And they got some seeds. That's excellent. Again, what can you do? You can have a dungeon crawl. Here's some things, some plot hooks to get dungeon crawl started. You want to do essentially an escort mission type mission. Here's some seeds for that. You want to do a combat tournament. Always seems to be popular with folks. Here's some different ways to get that going. And then take those seeds and how can you kind of dial it up, add some extra bits, adding more story, adding more interactions. Good advice. And then, building a story. Okay, so we have rules or some guidance for making NPCs. So they talk about making a character or making a target. Yeah, so, okay. Well, they do give you both options. I'm always hesitant when they say to make an NPC just to make a PC, because the needs for a GM, for an NPC are different than those for a PC. You just don't need all the stuff. It's something that comes up in D&D a lot. When you have an NPC or a creature, you just don't need to give it the kind of development a PC has, and the needs as a unit of adventure are different. An NPC maybe shows up once or has one big moment. Maybe they're tagging along, but they don't have to worry about the kind of regen and advancement and all those kind of options. You just want something fast that just gives you, this is what I'm going to need in this one encounter where this NPC is probably going to act. And if they're recurring, then they can just act again. You can just assume that everything's back. You don't need to worry about players like players worry about their characters. But they do say here you can make a target, which is a quicker option. I would say that should probably be your first option, and maybe they would say, I know it says that, hey, this gives you a well fleshed out character with lots of options, but maybe I would say save, if you're going to use character rules for making an NPC, and I would say this regardless of an RPG, is really you want to save that for like your big bad guy or some kind of adversary that's going to be around a long time, because you're putting in a lot of effort, and why if it's just, unless it's for something you feel like is going to stick around. All right, so you can, here's at least we got some tables, roll some dice. I'm not going to go through it, but great. They give you some quick personalities, or at least some guidance on personalities. Steel TT, what is that TT? I think that's another typo. Because I think it means steal it. Just, hey, if you have a character from a TV show, book, whatever that you think is cool, yeah, use it. Roll up a background, origin, turning point. So you would roll some D10. These should be for characters too. I feel like these should totally be for characters. So roll origins, right? I grew up on the Range Frontier. My life was saved by a hero who wants to train me. Bam. Why should these... Hey, obviously having not played it yet, I'm just reading it. But I'm going to give you a pro tip. Grab these tables and at least make them available for your PCs. They could find them extremely useful, particularly if they're stuck. I don't know why these were saved just for NPCs. Use them because they're great. You got connections, loyalties, personality, secret agenda. All good and all useful regardless of whether it's a PC or an NPC. I got some stuff on using skills. I'm just going to go through there. Skill-based conflict examples. That's good. Security systems. Excellent. Stuff for cyberpunky kind of things. Creating combat. All right, so we got some challenge points, which I guess is like their version of CR. I'm going to have no idea reading this how well balanced, if it's very basic or vague or untrustworthy like D&D's CR, or if these challenge points tend to make more fitting challenges. So I don't know, so I can't really judge it. We have rewards, random rewards, equipment, unique items. Nice. Is that where you could make your own weapon? Oh, just, okay, so weapon types. Nice. Making a boss fight. Again, good advice. I can't speak to how well it works for this game, but it's always good. Boss fights are one of those things as GMs we always like to use. Players find them fun, but you got to figure out how to do it. It's sort of one of those hidden challenges of, say, in D&D, how to make boss fights that are good. So here it's good. They give you some guidance right out of the box, right? Are we using kind of a horde, lots of creatures? Are we using a solo boss? How does it fit into your story? Is it the big bad? Is it the lieutenant? Is it just a lone wolf that's out there? Is it some kind of, a space creature? As they call it, a giant space flea from nowhere, which is also fun. And it gives you some boss moves. Boss moves, layer actions. What's TCP? What is a TCP? I don't know. Loot. Choose the build. 10-point row. 6. I don't know what TCP is, but I guess there's some way of giving them. Target list. The renowned galaxy is full of people, creatures, and other things ready to take a character's head off. Making sure that you have conflicts with appropriately challenging enemies enhances the game. Characters need a chance to thrive, get in over their head, and outright flee in terror. That's true. Okay, these are... the target list is a set of pre-generated opponents for players of your game. Okay. So basically, you just get some out of the box. Some cool creatures to throw at it. Whoa, they have a lot. Is the rest of the book going to be... Okay, so basically this is their monster manual, right? That's cool. Calling a target list is cool. Ooh, the menu. They kind of look like demon men. All right, so we got menu. Again, I'm just going to flip through these. We got some kind of chthonic horrors. We've got military types. Ooh, we've got strange creatures from the Omniwen. That sort of Feywild-ish alternate universe. And then you have people that are on the frontier. So these are different aliens that you might run into. Crab people. Ophilians. Large sentient humanoid reptilians. Wow. Kind of space dinos. Ooh, looks like the creature from the Black Lagoon, but scarier. Wild ones. We are the wild ones. Warlords. What is that? Warlords Doru? Okay. That's weird. All right. Threats from the dark. What is the dark? Some things defy all rationality and all explanation. These new creatures and or monsters have recently appeared from out beyond the galactic rim. All right. Creatures from beyond the moons. Scary. Look, they have kind of a very demonic look to them. Infernal, if you will. Undead. Ooh, undead are here. That's nice. Always good to have undead. That looks like kind of a Sauron type. Nightmare Wraith. Looks scary. Zombies. Always nice to have zombies. We got vehicles and machines. Good to know. You have to fight those. World Breakers. Ooh. Here, I like this. The kind of really big horrors, right? Space amoebas. Kaiju. They actually called it kaiju. These terrors are not to be fought. Indeed, fighting them is often impossible, but they are to be opposed if possible, and if not, avoided at all costs. Because make no mistake, the cost of not doing so will be the end of all things. Note, these three creatures exist outside of the normal possibility of even the most powerful parties of Omega characters. This doesn't mean that they can't show up in a game, but if they do, they should serve a purpose. A team of Omega might need to be part of an apocalyptic-sized army attacking a kaiju or an infiltration squad that will board and capture a godslayer. Their mission would be part of taking on one of these creatures or finding a way to weaken or slow it down. Not all enemies can be defeated with a sweet armory and good intentions. Very good advice. Though I think, drop them in there. Kind of the cool thing to me was sort of world-breaking sort of creatures or encounters is the fact that they just mess things up. If you have this thing just flying through space and play with it. So, my opinion is, let it loose. Maybe not put it as the first thing they fight, or maybe as part of your story, right? They got to run from something, and they're definitely going to run from these. But I say, use them. Nemesis Kaiju. Godslayer. It kind of reminds me a little bit of the, War of the Worlds type thing? The Gilded Seraph. I like that name. Nice. And then we have the Rogues Gallery. More NPCs, or not more, but NPCs for you to use. Battle Droids, Morgan Black, Rusty Polo. That's a great name. Old Rusty Polo. I like that one a lot. All right, let's moving through. Wait. What did I miss? They got a starter mission. Nice. All right. I'm not going to go over the starter mission. Don't want to spoil it, but it's good that they have one. Just, I don't know. It would have been nice to maybe see this map repeated or something when it says draw a map, that maybe this is the kind of map they're referring to as sort of an area of operations map, or maybe a simpler version of this, but it's good to know. I'm not going to read through it. I'll put they got several portions of the map. Nice. Flip and fight. What is flip and fight? The stock and strategic rule sets are the standard methods of gameplay, but can be complicated for someone new to role-playing games. Flip and fight is designed to be an introduction to RPGs. Okay, so stripped down version of the rules. I like it. I'm not going to go through it. Oh, wait, what was that? Running a flip and fight game. All right, names are optional. Running a combined game. Oh, was that maybe combining the stock game and... Okay, that's cool. They have it. Can I make my own flip and fight deck, auto run deck? Ooh, there's a deck attached to that. Oh, cool. I'll have to check that out and more. Ooh, decks and auto run games. Auto run games are games where no one has the inclination to be the GM and create a story. All right, I will have to look at the auto run games if I have a chance a little bit later. Maybe I'll do that as a stream. I will put together a character, or I'll try to just generate something and then maybe run it through that sample as an auto run just to see how it works. So I'll have to read that one. I'll have to read up on. I don't want to just fuddle with the rules. We have quick start stuff. Yeah, here's the character sheet. This has got to be more about the character sheet. A GM cheat sheet. Nice. An index. Oh, always nice to have an index. Always have an index, folks. Just do it. There, we get some other stuff. Oh, and that's the end. All right. I'm just going to go back to the character sheet just because. So a quick wrap up. What do I think? I mean, look, I think the content is great. I could quibble with some of the layout stuff. Maybe they could make it a little bit easier on the eyes, at least my old man eyes in digital form. I think some stuff could be given some more space, and there's some typos. I will shoot the typos off to Nor Cal. Maybe they've already seen them and corrected them, because again, this may not be an absolutely final copy, but I think it's pretty close. I'm assuming content-wise it's really close. It looks really cool. I like what they've done. There's a lot of interesting things that you have to do as a sci-fi game. It gives you a lot of tools to run a whole bunch of different between straight up fantasy, sci-fi, right? That you can run. I like that it gives you a lot of different optional rules to use. Some of the things, obviously when you read them, things sound really technical. So some of the things I might need to get used to. I have to see if I can get a chance to play it. How things like morale and doing some of the skill work, are mathy. But then again, I'm sure people outside D&D, which is a system I know very well, would find that stuff mathy. Where for me, it's easy. But I really dig it. It's got a lot of good stuff in there. I like a lot of the tools they've built in. Some things I wish they had a little more of. And, again, like with, say, NPC creation, I wish they maybe could have put some of those tables and put them available for players as well. But that's nothing stopping you as a GM from taking those tables and allowing your PCs to roll on them as well. But I think it's really great for a read. And like I said, if there's interest, shoot me up comments and let me know. Maybe I'll run through that starter adventure with the auto run, set up that deck and see how that plays just to check it out. And as always, if you like this, give me a thumbs up. If you like what I do, hey, subscribing is great. I've got links to my Ko-Fi and Patreon if you'd like to donate to the cause in that way. But thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you later.